for these attacks forms part of the police investigation.
The South African Human Rights Commission says the majority of complaints received from Cape Town residents relate to the ongoing houses crisis. The Chapter 9 institution revealed yesterday that Cape Town and eThekwini are among the 6 municipalities that received the highest number of complaints. This was outlined in a new report highlighting the main human rights violations reported during the past financial year. Alpha Ramushwana reports.
The majority of residents in the eThekwini municipality have lodged complaints with the Human Rights Commission about the metro's ongoing water crisis. The commission found that although water is available in some areas, it is often unsafe for drinking or cooking. Commissioner Tshepo Madlingozi says in Cape Town, the most reported human rights violation differs significantly from that in eThekwini.
Complaints relate to the right to housing. So that is the most complaint when it comes to the city of Cape Town. Of course, there are other issues to do with security, gang violence.
eThekwini and Cape Town are joined by Rustenburg and Polokwane as the municipalities with the highest number of complaints from residents. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's deeply disappointed by Parliament for the delays in setting up the Gender-Based Violence Council and has gone as far as to suggest MPs have been derelict in their duty. Almost a year since the act was signed, Ramaphosa says if it were up to him, the council would already be up and running. Ramaphosa says concerns over the budget for the council can only be sorted out once appointments have been made. Lindsay Dentlinker has more.
Parliament's Committee on Women and Youth, which is responsible for setting up the Gender-Based Violence Council, has for several months expressed concern about the lack of a budget and that civil society representatives might not be compensated. But answering questions in the National Assembly yesterday, President Cyril Ramaphosa assured the House that the National Treasury will come to the table.
My wish would have been I should set it up because we would have moved on. But because you are averse to having a dictator, which is a good thing, you have delayed in setting up this council.
Despite attempts by some MPs to pin the blame on him, Ramaphosa said the criticism was misdirected.
So much as I am to blame for many things, for everything that happens in the country, this is one area, my dear honorable sister, I am not to blame for.
Ramaphosa says he expects the body to be set up by April next year. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And 2 judges in Brazil's former President Jair Bolsonaro's coup trial have voted to convict him, with 3 other judges yet to give their verdicts. 70-year-old Bolsonaro risks a prison term of more than 40 years if found guilty of seeking to stay in power after his defeat in 2022 elections to Lula da Silva. Supreme Court Justice Alexandra de Moraes, the first to cast his vote in proceedings that could last until Friday, says Brazil nearly returned to dictatorship after 40 years of democracy. He says the evidence showed that the accused were part of a criminal organization led by Bolsonaro and committed all the criminal offenses charged by the Attorney General. The former head of state, who claims he is the victim of political persecution, is in the dock on the 5 charges with 7 co-defendants, including former ministers and generals. Gold is trading at $3,638.23 an ounce. The rand is at 17.51 to the dollar, 23.70 to the pound, 20.50 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.97 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got several protests within Gauteng that are causing delays this morning. One in Coronationville along Albertina Sisulu Road. In fact, Main Road is closed off to traffic as a result of this protest activity. The route is closed off to traffic between Eric Place and Florida Street. So please try to avoid that one. As we speak, Albertina Sisulu Road is heavily backed up as you make your way towards Langlaagte. If you're traveling in Ebony Park, Ivory Park area, we've got more delays within the area due to another protest activity. As a result, the main road within this area is also closed off to traffic as you approach a Boshoff Road. So please try to avoid that as well.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: more people have been killed in the latest episode of gun violence in the Western Cape.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the show on this 10th day of September. So great to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're good this morning. The Clement Manyathela show starts with the 702 open line this hour on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. How did you find the Bafana Bafana versus Nigeria match last night? Congratulations to our boys. We are closer to that World Cup destiny after that 1-1 draw. We now move to 17 points, which means we are maintaining our position atop Group C, which is great. Nigeria moves to 11 points. So we may actually realize the dream of qualifying for next year's World Cup. What do you think? Let me know. How tragic is this family hostage situation coming out of Pretoria? My goodness. This 32-year-old constable who held his family members captive for hours and ended up shooting his teenage nephew before turning the gun on himself. He held his mom and nephew hostage for over 16 hours yesterday in Mamelodi. After hours of negotiations, this constable released his mother, thank goodness, who was then given medical attention. But police said upon entry into the house, they found the constable and his 18-year-old nephew dead. According to reports, there's a family dispute that's believed to have been at the center of this tragedy. Apparently, this constable told his uncle in a voice note during even that hostage drama yesterday that his mom knew about his fiance's affair with his own brother, and that he had found out that one of his children, in fact, the only child he has, was not even biologically his. I mean, this is so tragic. And maybe you are in Mamelodi, maybe you know this family or this community, and you've got something to share with us or to shed some light. Please give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. Even if what this constable found out is indeed true, this is surely not a way to respond or deal with the situation. Have you ever dealt with something like this? And how have you resolved it? You can share your thoughts with us. At 10 o'clock, we're going to be in conversation with the DA leader in Gauteng, Solly Msimanga. New internal polling by the Democratic Alliance. We told you about this recently. It's revealed that national support for the governing party has fallen below 30%, which is a sharp decline from the 40% it secured in last year's elections. And when you look at what the performance is expected to be in Johannesburg, Tshwane and Ekurhuleni, it's not looking good for the ANC. But the party, the Democratic Alliance, trails with double-digit margins. Is that really the case? I mean, the polling historically has proven somewhat accurate, but it really paints a dramatic picture at a metro level. So we're going to be talking to Solly Msimanga about that and other issues. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Listener's Choice feature. Today, we have been asked by one of our listeners to discuss budget underspending and how it affects us. How often have you heard of premiers or even the president talking about budget underspending and how that's a concern? I mean, across the country, billions of rand are allocated each year to build houses, clinics, schools, roads, and other vital services. But year after year, there's a significant portion of that money that goes unspent. And that's what budget underspending is, which actually means that while funds are available on paper, communities continue to wait for basic infrastructure and services. In fact, the president recently called underspending a treasonous act. Banyaza Lesufi, the premier of this province of Gauteng, even took action against some HODs that were underspending their budgets. So we're going to talk about that and explain how it affects you at 11 o'clock. And then we wrap up the show at 11:30 with the sharing space. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, my mates. Thomas Mamailo here in Pumalanga. Clement, I'll say, when regarding to Bafana Bafana, we are going somewhere. And our players are still young. So we go process building something strong. Like, I don't want to lie. Like, Sazobuya to street. You go. Sazobuya to street. We are going somewhere.
Yeah, looks like we're getting somewhere. But can I guys tell you a funny story quickly about Hugo Bruce? I told it on 702 Breakfast when I was standing in for Bangani last week. So I'm at the gym last week Sunday. And I'm gymming. This is last week Sunday. Yeah, last week. The other week Sunday. Okay, I was at the gym and this guy, this old white man, comes to me to say hi. And I said hi and I looked away. I dismissed him because I was like gymming and I didn't think this person wanted to say anything. So I thought they were just greeting and keeping it moving. So I said hi and I moved on, And then I get to work on Monday. And then I'm busy reading like the news on News 24. And then I see a picture of this man that came to greet me at the gym on Sunday. Turns out it's Hugo Bruce. And I know who the Bafana Bafana coach is, but when you see him in a setup like that at the gym, you're not thinking, oh my God, that's Hugo. I'm in my mind, I didn't know who this man was. I just saw an old man coming to say hi. And I was very dismissive because it not because I didn't want to talk to him, but because I thought he was just greeting and like moving on. But in hindsight, I realized that he actually came towards my station at the gym to greet, which is, yeah. So now I'm literally waiting to see him at the gym and I'm going to go to him and I'm going to say, hey, how you doing? Well done on an amazing work that you're doing. The same way that I've done actually to the Bafana. Who's the former Pirates coach? That other guy. The one who left. Abel says he's a Chiefs supporter. Oh, please. The former, who's the former Orlando Pirates coach who left? I'm forgetting the name now. Anyway, we also go to the same gym. So I normally go to him to actually tell him how amazing he is doing when he was still at Pirates. So now I'm going to be looking out for Hugo to go and congratulate him and say sorry for not engaging him the last time I saw him. Tembile, you're calling us from Centurion. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
Hey, Tsara.
Hey, Chara. The former Pirates coach who left is Jose Riviero.
Yes, Riviero. Yes, that's the one.
Yes.
Abel is pretending like he doesn't know the name here. Hey, these Chiefs supporters.
I'm a Chiefs fan, by the way.
Yeah, you're a better one.
Clement, what a game. Bafana. First half, I think we came in, we were prepared, we were winning each and every second ball. We dominated play. We could have scored more goals in the first half. But I think Hugo Bruce is doing a great job, a fantastic job. If you look at the African Nations Cup, we beat Morocco. We finished third in that tournament. And you look at the standing now on the World Cup qualifier. The two games which are left, we're playing Zimbabwe. We're playing Rwanda. And both of those games are home games. All that we need to do is just to do our job. We haven't qualified yet. We just do our job. But I think if you look at the team that we have, Mbogazi, he's 19 years old, Clement. But he's a world-class player. You can tell. Even Hugo Bruce said after the game that he needs to go and play in Europe now. That boy is doing well. He did a fantastic job against Nigeria yesterday. He was the man of the match. And you look at boys like Ngota. Ngota is 20 years old. You look at Rele, who's 20 years old. The team, the depth in the team, and the age group of the players is doing very well. The future looks bright. I hope SAFA can do a very good job, even if he leaves after World Cup. But we make sure we have another coach that can carry on these players that we have.
Yeah.
The future looks bright for Bafana.
Hey, Tembile, when was the last time we were so happy with Bafana Bafana? Hey?
Clement, I was rushing home last night. I looked at the street, quiet. Everyone was home, sitting, watching Bafana Bafana.
Yeah, I was live on TV yesterday. I was doing my show in SABC, and one eye was on the camera, the other eye was literally checking what was happening with the game. So really, everybody's just interested. And yeah, well done to Hugo Bruce, man. What an amazing work that he's doing. Tembile, thank you for calling us. I think we are on our way to realizing that dream of qualifying for next year's World Cup. 17 points. We're still on top of the Group C. So we're maintaining our position on top of Group C, which is great. So let's keep praying and encouraging Bafana Bafana, our boys. It's 16 after 9.
Your voice, your station, your open line. Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela on 702.
Here's the question that I asked Bongani Bingwa this morning as well. And if you answer it in half a second, you're going to win, let's say, bragging rights for now. And shout the answer in half a second. You ready? Who is the bully in the Middle East region? There you have it. Qatar believes that the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is the bully in the region. And this follows an attack in Doha yesterday by Israel. And I don't know if you've been watching the news, but Israel targeted Doha yesterday. They targeted Hamas negotiators who were in the city to negotiate a ceasefire to come up with a deal of sorts. And that was going to be mediated by Qatar at the request of US President Donald Trump. So Israel basically bombed the same people they were supposed to negotiate with. 6 people died in that attack, but Hamas say the leadership and the main negotiators have actually survived. So first, what surprised me was that Israel decided to attack a civilian area. Actually, was it a surprise? I'm not sure if that was a surprise. I actually recognized the part of the town that was attacked. I remember jogging around that area last year when I visited Qatar for the Formula One Grand Prix. And I texted someone I was traveling with at the time and I was running with at the time. And I said, yo, isn't this the building we ran past? It's so surreal. But it's not surprising that Israel attacked a civilian area. Isn't it part of their military framework? Like in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Iran, in Yemen. It's out of their military playbook. And there's been reaction from the region, from the West, not just the region, but the West. I mean, in France, in the UK, Spain, the leaders there responded swiftly, condemning this attack. Most of the leaders raised concerns that these actions by Israel are compromising regional peace and security. I mean, how do you bomb a Gulf country that's hosting negotiations at the request of Donald Trump? Even Donald Trump himself called the attack unfortunate and promised that Qatar that it will never happen again. Qatar is the US's ally. Qatar is a major hub for US military in the region. Also, a side note, remember Trump just accepted a plane from Qatar as a gift? Remember even his son, Eric Trump, was just opening a golf course in Qatar. Here's the White House spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, responding to that Israeli attack on Doha.
This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack. President Trump wants all of the hostages in Gaza and the bodies of the dead released, and this war to end now. President Trump also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told President Trump that he wants to make peace, and quickly. President Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. The president also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. he assured them that such a thing will not happen again on their soil.
He told them, oh, it will not happen again. It's unfortunate. That's what Trump is calling this attack by Israel on Doha. Trump says this unilateral decision doesn't even advance the interests of Israel or the US. But he's not even calling out Benjamin Netanyahu. And by the way, it's not true, as Caroline says there, that Qatar was warned of this impending attack. No, that's not true. Qatar's foreign minister confirmed last night that the US only told them about the attack 10 minutes after it happened.
Of course, we've seen a lot of statements saying or news saying that we have received a notification from the US side or that the US side was notified. But what happened is that the US side informed us 10 minutes after the attack, telling us that they just received a notification that a missile will be launched against Qatar. Regarding the Air Force, we know and we have all witnessed how our Air Force have dealt with the missiles coming from Iran, and how they were able to address the situation precisely.
So, what the Prime Minister was trying to explain it through the translators that the missile that attacked Doha yesterday, it couldn't be intercepted by Qatar because Israel was using new technology. Now, the US says, yeah, we warned them before the attack, but the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister of Qatar says that's not true. They told us 10 minutes after the attack happened. And given that the US's biggest military base outside of this is there in Qatar, did they really not know about this attack beforehand? There's speculation now over whether this was a plot by the US and Israel to bring the Hamas delegation to Doha under the guise of negotiation, only to attack them. Qatar's foreign minister spoke last night in detail and called the attack cowardly and barbaric, and he directed his criticism at Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
The targeting was beyond and violating not only international laws but only all morals. We are talking about a mediator state that is hosting formal negotiations in a formal and official mediation and hosting with a delegation from a state that is sending missiles and rockets against another group or delegation from another state that they're supposed to negotiate with. How can this be morally accepted? To be cheated on or to be treated in this way and coming from such a person is not surprising. However, this is a systematic behavior coming from a person that is claiming or alleging that they want to stabilize the region, but what he's doing is only destabilizing the region for his own and personal goals. Is there any clearer message that the world needs to understand who is closing and shutting the door of peace? Does the international community need any other messages to know who's the bully in the region?
Who is the bully in the region? Who's closing and shutting the door of peace? Does it make sense that everybody, the leaders in Europe, France, UK, Spain, all of them are constantly coming out to condemn the actions of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, even Donald Trump himself. And yet nothing seems to happen. The United Nations will release a long statement. But what's going to happen? How many times have we spoken on the show about Benjamin Netanyahu and how he's a law unto himself? Listen to Donald Trump, who says he is unhappy about what happened yesterday. But I'm rolling my eyes listening to that because, and then what? What's going to happen? What you going to do? Because you can't do anything. You've been frustrated by this man for so long, but you can't even do anything.
Well, I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled about that. I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this: we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled about the way that went down today. I'm never surprised by anything, especially when it comes to the Middle East. I'll be giving a full statement tomorrow, but I would tell you this. I was very unhappy about it, very unhappy about every aspect, and we got to get the hostages back. But I was very unhappy about the way that went down.
Well, how are you going to get them back when you can't even negotiate? You ask Qatar to negotiate, and then the people who are supposed to negotiate with Israel, then they get bombed. And a couple of days earlier, by the way, there were about 5 or 6 people that were killed in Israel. I think the Israeli government said they were killed by terrorists, I quote you, from the West Bank, which is despicable, and it's also unacceptable. We're talking here about an opportunity to try finding lasting peace in the Middle East. Because these killings, 6 people were killed the other day in Israel. There are people that have been killed almost on a daily as well in Gaza. People, some of whom, or even many of whom, have nothing to do with what Hamas has even done to Israel. Is there even hope here for a viable, long-lasting peace for as long as those in charge in Israel are still in government? What are your thoughts on what happened yesterday, 27 after 9?
Good morning, Clement and the team there. You know, Clement, Netanyahu is the law unto himself. Israel is a threat to world peace, and it is a fact. Who's next in the Middle East after Qatar? Who's next? Thanks, William Pretoria.
Come on. There we go again with the usual left-wing narrative. If Qatar didn't want to be bombed, they shouldn't be harboring terrorists. And as for Netanyahu doing what he's doing, everybody seems to forget that Hamas started the damn war. Israel's going to finish it. Alan Randberg.
But is Qatar harboring the terrorists? It was the US President Donald Trump who told Qatar, hey, please can you negotiate a deal? Donald Trump himself was sending his own official to be part of the negotiating team. Israel was going to send its own officials to also have a conversation with Qatar because they're trying to find somehow a peace deal of sorts, a ceasefire deal of sorts. You're speaking as though Qatar secretly allowed Hamas leaders to come and hide in some building in Doha. No, they were there because Donald Trump asked Qatar to negotiate a deal of sorts with his official that he was going to send and with the Israeli officials that were also going to be sent by Israel. That's precisely what's going to happen. But you go and you bomb the very same people that you wanted to negotiate with. There's actually a clip of a mother of one of the captives, like a mom whose child was held hostage and still is being held hostage by Hamas. And this mom was livid after what happened in Qatar, the Israeli actions. And she spoke. It's just that I couldn't play you that clip because it's not in English. And it's just the subtitle. So maybe what I'll do, I'll tweet it. If you're on X, you can check it out there. But if you Google it, it should come up easily. There's a woman who was so angry, who says, I'm tired of Benjamin Netanyahu compromising the efforts for us to have our children back. The US, many other countries have agreed that how you are going to get the hostages back, how you are going to have the swap of prisoners as well who are held in Israeli prisons, that's not going to take you bombing each other. That's going to take a deal that's going to be negotiated. And there's been deals before that were negotiated. And yes, they didn't last. Some of them lasted 2 weeks. Some of them lasted more than that. But the point is there was a bit of progress there. Because during that deal, there were some hostages that were released. There were some prisoners that are held in Israel that were released as well. Well, those hopes are dashed now. Because how do you get the other party to sit on the table and seriously consider a deal when they could just be bombed in a sovereign state of Qatar, in Doha? And everybody else is going to be unhappy about it, but but nothing happens to the men who sanctioned that attack. Animal Farm, I tell you. It's 9:31. Sviso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia has not ruled out the deployment of the army in Cape Town as a high-level response to gang violence. Communities across the metro have appealed to government to deploy soldiers where gang battles continue unabated, but police officials are reluctant to support such a call. The national government has assumed full control of the finances of the embattled Ditsobotla municipality. The Northwest municipality was recently placed under administration following repeated governance failures, maladministration and poor service delivery. Cooperative Department's Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa joined the Municipal Council yesterday to communicate the details of his intervention. And President Cyril Ramaphosa says he will announce an ambassador to the United States very soon. Several political parties, both in and out of the Government of National Unity, have criticized the lack of a replacement for former Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, who was declared persona non grata in March following remarks he made about the Trump administration. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traveling around Coronationville, we're still seeing delays along several roads within the area due to the protest activities. Well, main road closed off to traffic completely between Eric Road and Florida Street. Please try to avoid that one, while Albertina Sisulu Road remains heavily backed up towards Langlache. If you're traveling along the M2 West towards Amalgam, do expect delays between the Crown Interchange and Main Rift Road, while in Bedford View, roadworks are taking place on the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis Interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 South coming out of the Baku Interchange. And then in the city of Tshwane, massive queues along the N1 North between Water Avenue and Rigel Avenue due to an accident right after the Flying Saucer Interchange. The R21 North is also heavily backed up as a result of this scene. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Aubrey Masango, weekday evenings from 8 p.m.
South African Human Rights Commission mandate needs to be reviewed because there is a growing sentiment among South Africans that it is not here to advance national interests. It is here to advance international interests. I don't hear the voice of the South African Human Rights Commission in defense of the communities in which people are terrorized by Zamazama. Is it unreasonable for South Africans to expect that heads of departments in a Chapter 9 institution be South African?
Aubrey Masango on Cape Talk.
On the 20th and 21st of September, the DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, brings you the flavor, the music, and the vibe. With international stars, South Africa's top performers, delicious food from local artisans, and fashion that turns heads. It's the ultimate heritage weekend experience. Gather your friends on Saturday and make it a family picnic day on Sunday. Join interactive cooking demos, explore vibrant art, and celebrate 30 years of DSTV bringing entertainment to Africa. One ticket gives you access to it all. Visit ticketmaster.co.za with more on deliciousfestival.com.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, SA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options, from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you takes some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer, and controlling company for its group companies.
Pneumococcal disease can strike at any time, especially if you live with a chronic condition or have weakened immunity. If you're 19 and older with the chronic disease, vaccination can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia. The risk increases for people 65 and older, and vaccination is advised to help prevent serious illness. Ask your healthcare professional about pneumococcal vaccination. Don't wait. Vaccinate. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Running a business is tough. You need tools that just work. That's why more South African businesses are switching to Mac. At iStore, we make it easy with 4,000 rands in added value when you switch. That's 3 years extended warranty and remote tech support, leaving you to focus on everything else. Switch to Mac with iStore, your expert partner. T's and C's apply. Mac at iStore. Run smooth as business should.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
24 minutes before 10 o'clock. Lynn Tikile, you're calling us from Centurion. Good morning.
Hi, Clement.
Sure.
My view on this matter of Netanyahu is that the world thinks by supporting Israel, no matter what wrongs we are doing towards each other and towards the world, as long as we are on the same safe side of Israel, God will show mercy on us. But the truth is, this Israel is going against God. It's going against the word of God as it stands. So people like Trump, President Trump, he believes he can be as cruel as he wants. As long as he's on the same side with Israel, he's safe. So religion here plays a big role. But people are manipulating it. They don't even realize that actually what they are doing, they will follow Israel into hell. Because Israel does not want to negotiate with anybody. Israel does not want to bring peace. Israel refuses to bring peace to the children of Gaza, the people in Palestine. And for that, we will stand on the wrong side of history every time. I've heard Clement here in South Africa, people saying, how can South Africa support Palestine? We're supposed to stand with Israel because we are Christians. And my view on this matter is that even people in Israel, those people who are fighting Netanyahu and his cabinet, they do not believe in the same God we are believing in. They do not believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. No wonder why they are doing these cruel things in the world. And it's about time that United Nations Security Council will stand against Israel for once and for all, so that we put Israel where it needs to be.
Lintikile in Centurion, thank you for your contribution. Let's hear what other listeners think on the WhatsApp line.
Morning, Clement. This is Point Devlin. As soon as Netanyahu, as there's peace, Netanyahu loses his power. So he's prolonging the war so that he doesn't lose his power. It's the only way right now. The people of Israel are fed up.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning to the 702 family. Clement, people are dying. Clement, what's wrong with Benjamin Netanyahu? People are dying every day. I don't know what this guy has on the USA. The UN it's even worthless. This guy, what he's doing to that place, to that region, is treason. Clement, the situation is... Clement, people are dying. Clement.
Good morning, Clement. I agree with one of the voice notes that you played. If Qatar doesn't want to be bombed, they should stop harboring terrorists. What do you want Israel to do? Sit, fold your hands, and let the whole thing fester? No. Wherever they can find those guys, they should bomb them, and bomb them. Over in Gaza, Hamas is using kids, civilian infrastructure, as human shields. And you want Israel to fold their hands and be killed? Benjamin Netanyahu, please do it again and again and again. If you find them in South Africa, come, bomb them. Titus Rosettenville.
Good morning, it's Kevin from Rodiport. You see the Middle East, gentlemen, and ladies, that's just crazy. It's been going on from biblical times. But then, Mr. Manyathela, if you realize something, the US has got some serious agendas, ulterior motives in the Middle East. US is behind all of these things. Again, I say it's not rocket science. It's the US. behind all of these things. Trust me on this. Have a good day.
Clement Manyathela. I would like to suggest that Benjamin Netanyahu is the strongest person in the whole world, not only a bully. I'm saying that because everybody from France to England to US and other nations are condemning what he's doing, but all of them, there is nothing that they can do. What is the problem here? Are the Israelis holding America ransom for something? Why are they not acting against them when they are wrong, but they are quick to act against others? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. It's just shocking. It's really just shocking that many leaders in different countries can be so frustrated with one person, and not because they don't support Israel. They support Israel, and they always make that very clear. They support what many of us support. Hostages need to be returned. They need to be returned. Israel also has a right to defend itself. But there's international law. Even wars, there are laws to wars. When you are engaged in a war, there are also rules that you abide by. Has Israel been following those rules throughout its war in Gaza? How many children have we lost in Gaza? How heartless do you need to be to think that a 3-year-old baby, 6-month-old baby, a 9 years or 6-year-old baby deserved to die? How heartless do you need to be to consistently take the justifications from Israel when they are busy killing journalists who have nothing to do with what Hamas has done, whose responsibility is to tell the world what's happening there? And they kill them. How many of them have died? How heartless are you that you want to justify Israel's actions when they are killing aid workers, people who work for organizations that are there to provide food because there's famine in Gaza? You kill them even when they're wearing clothes that indicate that they are aid workers. You kill them and you bury them even with their vehicles. How heartless are you that you're going to take those justifications? It's 15 minutes before 10.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Olusegun Adeleke, founder of Pack app. What inspired you to actually develop this app?
If you notice that the problem that Pack is basically solving is actually a general one. It's a global problem. Access to expertise, access to the direct people, access to the likes of yourself. All right. So basically, the idea of having to solve a problem.
PAAQ. Why spelled like that, if I may ask?
Please ask any question.
Oh! Listen, do we not get the coolest guests on this show?
Hello?
Please ask any question. Okay, I'm sold. I'm downloading the app right now.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Across South Africa, municipalities are under pressure to deliver better services and restore public trust. The International City and County Managers Global Exchange Program and the Talent Management Seminar give municipal leaders the chance to learn from their international counterparts and to share South Africa's own solution on the global stage. Stronger leadership means stronger communities.
Ready, jet, go! 2 fully paid trips to the Abu Dhabi Motor Racing Spectacular must be won in the thrilling new JetX competition exclusive to Hollywood Bets. An unforgettable experience awaits on one of the fastest circuits on the planet, with the world's top drivers battling for supremacy. To stand a chance to win, bet 10 Rand or more on JetX. 1 million Rand in cash is also up for grabs. Hollywood Bets. Fly higher with our multiplier. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator.
No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
13 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's go to some more WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Well done, Hugo. Well done, Bafana Bafana. We're definitely going to Canada, USA, and Mexico. But there's a star rising that we're not seeing, my guys. Wait, there's someone. What's this? Benny McCarthy and his team, Kenya. Hey, Baba, that's the team is becoming dangerous. Bit by bit, it's coming dangerous. And well done to him. 5-0 yesterday. Okay. And well done. I'm happy for him. Kenya's a part of South Africa now because of him. Thank you.
Hey, Clement. Hey. 702 land. Please, somebody here on this platform can make it happen for Clement so that he doesn't stalk the old man at the gym. Please. Can we make this introduction happen? Congratulations to Bafana Bafana anyway. Good morning, everyone. Busy in Alberton.
Hi, Clement. I hope you are well. Olani here from the Val. Hey, very impressed, Clement. I must say that the Bafana game, I was impressed by our boys. Not particularly the performance, but the understanding. Over a long period, we failed to understand how to manage such games, qualifiers, and big tournaments. Sometimes you don't need to perform at best. You just need to be able to manage and play to the tactics. The inclusion of Nkota on the wing. You knew that you needed someone with pace. And we would have loved to see Relay, but Relay is not a paceful person. He's someone that is skillful and can mine us. And with those guys, you need someone that's going to stretch them. And the boys did very well. I found the game interesting, and I found ourselves really growing and maturing.
Clement and the 702 family, Clemmy. No, the boys did well last night. They were in their element, except, of course, some slaking up towards the end of the first half. Maybe there we may look in that area for improvement. But generally, they did well. And kudos to Bruce for building this solid squad. We beat Lesotho not so long ago, and last night we had this important draw with Nigeria. Now the future looks great, man, Clemmy. Thank you, Clems.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
So if you missed it, Bafana Bafana drew with Nigeria last night, and basically what this means is we have moved to 17 points, but we still maintain our top position. In Group C, Nigeria moves to 11 points. So that dream of qualifying for next year's World Cup is very much close to us. We may realize it. I think up next we're playing Zimbabwe. So let's keep pushing, praying and encouraging our boys. Let's go back to some calls now on what happened in Qatar yesterday on 011-883-0702. Let's start with Lekeng, who's calling us from Brakpan. Lekeng, good morning. Hey, Tara.
Though I just wanted to comment about that voice note that said, if Benjamin Netanyahu finds Hamas in South Africa, he must come and bomb them. That kind of talk is out of order. People mustn't come from their countries, leave Nigeria and come here and call Benjamin Netanyahu to come and bomb people. And Benjamin Netanyahu, if he tries blood here in South Africa.
What do you mean by that, Likeng? Oh, what happened to him? Okay, I promise, guys, I didn't cut that call. I swear, I didn't. It just got cut off. But I really was interested in what he really means. But he was basically trying to say that Benjamin Netanyahu will see trouble if he tries to attack South Africa, should, let's say, Hamas was somewhere here. So here's the thing. Israel said before that wherever Hamas leaders are going to go, we will find them, right? That's what they've said before. And that's something that they can pursue themselves. But here's where, for me, what happened yesterday is confusing, as I explained earlier. Israel said, okay, cool, we want a deal. America spoke to Israel, spoke to Qatar as well. America, which is Israel's biggest ally, said to Qatar, please can you host negotiations? Please host negotiations so that we can find a deal of sorts. So there was a deal that was proposed by Donald Trump. Qatar was supposed to propose that deal to Hamas delegation that was in Doha. The Israeli government, from reports yesterday, they were going to send people to Doha as well to look at this proposal of a deal by US President Donald Trump. So does it not defeat the purpose then to agree that, okay, there is a process that's underway to somehow find a deal, and then you just go and bomb a country that is hosting the negotiations? That's hosting the negotiations. Does it not defeat the purpose then? Then maybe what you should do is already completely say, we are not interested in any deal. We're not going to sit down and talk to anybody. And then you can do whatever you want in that case, if that's really the position you want to take. But to create an impression that you're interested in some kind of a deal negotiated by Qatar, requested by the US, only for you to go and bomb the very same people you're supposed to negotiate with, I don't know how that helps you as someone who's interested in a deal. Max, you're calling from Soweto. Good morning.
Hello.
It's Max.
How are you? How are you, Clement?
Sure. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. You know, I'm so sympathetic towards you. I love you very much. I like you very much. But there is a misconception, not only you as Clement. The situation in the Middle East is very complex. It's not as easy as it is. To start with, let me explain to you. I've read many articles. I read many articles every day and night. Israel is being surrounded by hostile countries. I can mention Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon. All of them, they don't want Israel. And it's a small country with only 10 million people. And the people don't understand that Hamas, they didn't go to Qatar now. They were there many years. They are being hosted by Qatar. Qatar is a very, very even smaller than Israel. But they are hosting these people. Okay, it sounds as if it's wrong to bomb. It's simply because Hamas doesn't want to hand over the hostage, who are now left almost 48, which they believe only 20 are alive. So many people, they just comment, they say, Netanyahu, going back to the point of Netanyahu, even if Netanyahu goes out and then another prime minister gets in Israel, even Netanyahu is very moderate. There are guys like Ben Gvir, there are guys like Smotrich. They are very, very cool. They even say we must take West Bank by force. But people don't understand. Israel as a country is being surrounded by people who, I don't even want to go further because it will create a problem. There is an ideology of religion there. They don't want Judaism. They want Islam to dominate all over the Middle East. Even in Europe now, somebody was even saying that Britain is no longer Britain. It's Islamic State there. You find to have this domination of Islam people. And they want to impose their own will to other people. I thank you very much for that.
Max in Soweto, thank you for your contribution.
Morning, Clement. This is Point Devlin. As soon as Netanyahu, as there's peace, Netanyahu loses his power. So he's prolonging the war so that he doesn't lose his power. It's the only way right now. The people of Israel are fed up.
Hi, Clement. It's Boo here in Durban. I think what Israel did yesterday was wrong. They shouldn't have launched an attack to Qatar. They are not part of this war. Instead, they are trying to find ways towards peace. But then what Israel did yesterday was completely wrong. They could have tried at least maybe a covert operations. They've got the best service in place, Mossad. Thank you.
Good morning, Clement. This is Kay. We've spent basically your whole show talking about Israel and all this. This will be carrying on forever for some reason. Why they just don't give them their people back and get rid of this war. It's all he wants is he wants his hostages. So stop always just thinking one-sided. And besides all of this going on, what's going on in our own country? People are being shot at Westbury at a peaceful protest. I'm not interested in what's happening in Israel. I'm interested in what's happening in my country. And it's time we focus on our country. Let Israel and Hamas, whoever they are, take care of their own issues. Because there's nothing we can do about it, because you cannot talk or reason with a man with a clenched fist on both sides.
And look, I mean, with all due respect, you are not a barometer of national mood. I respect that you want to talk about whatever you want to discuss, and you must call us and talk about it, but you don't represent the national mood. So if there's a conversation you don't want to talk about that we're discussing, that's on you not to comment on that. But if you want to introduce another conversation, please, by all means, I'm always willing to take that. But I'm at a point where I also don't want to, you raise your view, as I said before, people must just go and read for themselves. And if you are convinced that Israel is wrong, you are. Make sure that you have informed yourself before you make that conclusive decision. If you're convinced that Qatar is wrong or Hamas or whoever, make that decision after having also read. But don't then want to make general statements like, even the West in Europe, for instance, they don't want Israel. I mean, that's not even factual. That's not even factual. The very same countries you're mentioning are the same countries that support Israel, are the same countries even in the beginning. Do you remember in the beginning, they didn't even want to call it a genocide. These are the countries that will give Israel whatever it wants to support it with arms, with packages. America sends multi-billion rand in military packages. These are the same people that are still frustrated by Benjamin Netanyahu, but they still say, we believe in your right to defend yourself. How do you then argue and make such a false claim that those countries do not want the existence of Israel? So I support that you do read, the listener who called us from Soweto, but let's read more then, because what you're saying about those countries is just not factual.
702 delivers on the matters that matter to you.
I am Alula Madlamini, an avid Talk Radio 702 listener. Have been listening since way back when it was medium wave all the way till now. Talk Radio 702 is, it forms part of the network of what my life is made up of, from God to my family to my joy. 702 is my magazine of life. The depth and width of knowledge, from fun to spiritual knowledge and fulfillment. So I find everything on 702, so much that it is the only radio station that I listen to from Monday to Sunday. I am totally sold out on Talk Radio 702.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts so we can deliver more on what matters to you. 702 listens. Let's walk the talk.
In a world where traffic is the enemy of progress, one man is in a race against time. Through the noise, through the chaos, chasing something no GPS could find.
Accident detected ahead. Expect a 30-minute delay.
Not today, sweetheart. Not today. Write your own story with the Haval H7 from only 6,799 per month. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. Brought to you by GWM Finance, a division of Westbank, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
It's the clarion call for the 26th Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Choose your days carefully because this time we're going all out as the heavyweight jazz at Lincoln Center with Wynton Marsalis make a triumphant return to the Sandton Convention Center on the 26th and 28th of September 2025, alongside the already star-studded lineup of over 60 world-class acts across 4 stages. On second thoughts, we recommend you buy yourself all 3 days via Ticketmaster. Take me there.
The BCCSA is calling for nominations. Do you know someone with broadcasting expertise? Nominate them to serve as a commissioner for a 4-year term starting 1 January 2026. Send a short CV and motivation to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. Nominations close 19 September 2025. Visit www.bccsa.co.za for more info.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Some parts of Johannesburg are experiencing service delivery protests this morning with major roads affected in many places. Residents in Tsakani and Vlakfontein on the East Rand have been protesting over the lack of services. Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department spokesperson Joy Mdluli says officers are monitoring the situation.
Currently, EMPD, FRU and Tsakani precinct officers are on the scene monitoring the situation and have cleared the rubble from the roadway. The traffic is now flowing freely. Protesters are currently waiting to be addressed by the ward councillor.
Meanwhile, Westbury and Correctionville residents are respectively blocking roads with rubble and rocks, protesting over the lack of water. The national government has assumed full control of the finances of the embattled Ditsobotla municipality. The Northwest municipality was recently placed under administration following repeated governance failures, maladministration and poor service delivery. Cooperative Department Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa joined the Municipal Council yesterday to communicate the details of this intervention. Tabiso Goba reports.
After having 2 mayors and 2 speakers, the Ditsobotla Municipal Council was dissolved in 2022 and there was fresh elections. However, since the reconstitution of its council, the governance problems have not gone away. The municipality has passed unfunded budgets for 5 consecutive years, owes 1.6 billion rand to its creditors and can no longer afford to carry out service delivery. Cocta Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa says the municipality must work again.
But everybody really should prioritize people, put aside factional issues, personal issues, but make the people of this area a priority.
Hlabisa says a police task team has also been set up to investigate corruption in the municipality. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia has not ruled out the deployment of the army in Cape Town as a high-level response to gang violence. Communities across the metro have appealed to government to send soldiers where gang battles continue unabated. National Police Commissioner Fani Masimula argues that soldiers are not trained for civilian law enforcement.
Remember, police, they have a pistol, they can defend themselves with gangs, and they have rubber bullets. The army don't have rubber bullets, they only have live ammunition, and they don't know policing. So if you throw the army with stone, what do you expect them to do? Is it what you want?
Kachalia says the thought of deploying the army to gang hotspots has crossed his mind, but he says the idea will be put on ice for now and may be revisited if there's a need.
So I will keep an open mind on this question. I've asked the question. For the time being, it's not an option that I'm considering. If I get to that point, I will have to have a conversation with the president because only the president can take that decision.
And President Cyril Ramaphosa says he will announce an ambassador to the United States very soon. Several political parties, both in and out of the government of national unity, have criticized the lack of a replacement for former Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, who was declared persona non grata in March following remarks he made about the Trump administration. Answering questions in Parliament yesterday about relations with the US in light of its imposition of a 30% trade tariff, Ramaphosa said that the country's next ambassador will be well versed about the US market. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says government has opted to negotiate better trade deals with the United States rather than choose the aggressive approach of reciprocating with a higher tariff for its second largest trading partner.
We go to the United States negotiating table with a strong hand. We don't go with a weak hand. And our endowments is exactly what we take to the table.
He says South Africa's next ambassador to the US will be capable and experienced.
We will be appointing a well-versed and a well-rounded person who has the necessary skills.
Ramaphosa has hinted that even parliamentarians want to be considered for the job.
Madam Speaker, I must tell you that there have been a lot of applications, and some of them have come from this House.
5 months since the nomination, Brent Bozell is yet to be confirmed by a US Senate committee as the country's next ambassador to South Africa. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Gold is trading at $3,638.23 an ounce. The rand is at 17.51 to the dollar, 23.70 to the pound, 20.50 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.97 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Sophiatown as well as Newlands area, the main road has been closed off to traffic. This is between Eric Place and Perth Road. This is due to protest activities within these areas. So motorists are being advised to try and avoid these areas this morning. And if you are traveling in Bedfordview, we've got roadworks taking place on the N3 North. This is just as you approach the Kilulis interchange. Delays coming out of Van Buren Road. And then in the city of Tshwane, that accident on the N1 North is still there, right near Rigel Avenue. It's causing delays coming out of Border Avenue. Please be on the lookout.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Some parts of Johannesburg are experiencing service delivery protests this morning, with major roads affected in many places.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Ten minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702, and thank you as always for your contributions on the 702 open line. Remember, at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Listener's Choice feature. And today, on our Listener's Choice feature, we're going to have a conversation about budget underspending. and how it affects you and I, because there are billions of rand that are allocated each year for vital services, building houses, clinics, schools, roads, and other services, of course. But year after year, we often hear of this significant portion of money that has gone unspent. The president has called this action treasonous. The Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has taken action against some HODs for this. So it seems to be really a problem. But how does it affect us and how do we resolve it? That's the conversation we're going to have on our Listener's Choice feature at 11 o'clock.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
But right now, we start our conversation with Solly Msimanga, who is the leader of the Democratic Alliance here in Gauteng. You're welcome to join this conversation as well by calling us on 011-883-0702. Alternatively, you can send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. Solly, thank you so much for coming to studio. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. Thank you for having me, and good morning to the 702 listeners.
So there's a lot I want us to talk about, but I want to start off with the issue of the Johannesburg mayor, Helen Zille.
Where are you getting that from?
has the issue, how far are you with the process of electing a candidate for the Democratic Alliance in Johannesburg to be mayor?
By the 20th of September, you will know who the mayoral candidate will be, because that's when we will be launching our mayoral candidate in the city of Johannesburg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what process has unfolded that's going to then culminate on that announcement on the 20th?
So there's quite a lot of things that happened. First of all, we did call for nominations. You would know, we even went to the public to then say we don't want to limit it to only people within the Democratic Alliance. We want members of the public who have got experience in running, either entities or who feel that, they can contribute. And then we shortlisted people in a sense of we did some gatekeeping processes. We went through people's CVs, we vetted people, basically. And then there was people that were invited to come in for a round of psychometric testing. So we did some psychometric testing. After that, we did interviews. 2 sets of interviews, actually. And then we arrived at a decision. The last thing we did is we then gave people scenarios in terms of explaining what is it that they would want to then start fixing in Johannesburg, how will they go about it. So all of these things are things that you then go out and test, and different scores are then collated, and then you would then look at who then becomes the best candidate.
Who sits on the committee to score these candidates?
We do have independent. Let me tell you exactly what actually happened. So they would not know that they're marking Clement's script. So each script has a number. So you wouldn't know if you're marking Solly or Clement's script. You will mark those scripts. And
unless Helen Zille says, well, when I was mayor of the city of Cape Town, this is what I did.
No, you're not allowed to do that. You're allowed to specifically talk about what you will do.
That's great.
Yeah. So
you don't do interviews?
No, you do interviews, but interviews are the last step.
Okay.
So you do all this, what we call gatekeeping processes, and then after that, then you do the interviews.
Once
and
you've shortlisted them from that, and then
yes, and then the interviews plus the scores that people would have obtained from everything else is then collated, and then that's when you will then get to a candidate.
I imagine it must be awkward interviewing your boss. Like, imagine Helen, Federal Executive Chair.
No, it's not.
Yeah?
It's not. I mean, one thing I love about the DA is that there's no boss, there's no leader, there's no chair. It's Solly, it's Helen, it's John. Because our membership, there's no gold membership. All our membership, it's 10 rand. We all pay the same amount, and we treat each other that way. And this is why when we actually then are going to interview, even when you're interviewing each other, let me call it that, you will interview a person who's Helen as the same way as you will interview Belinda, the same way as you would interview even an activist. And you don't then decide out of the blue, this is what I'm going to ask. To be fair, you then have 100 set of questions that the computer just spews out. So I don't then have to channel some kind of questions to favor a particular individual. There's questions that are generated, and then the computer will tell us, these are the questions that you're gonna need to then answer.
Okay, I'm looking forward to the 20th of September. There were reports on Sunday suggesting Helen Zille is somehow a front runner.
Well, there are three people that are.
Can you tell us who they are?
One is unfortunately a somebody who's still in the private sector, who's still running a big entity in a business entity. The other one is Belinda, and the other one is Helen.
Helen. Belinda is the caucus leader.
Is the caucus leader
in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Okay. It's almost like it's a done deal with Helen. But let's see.
When you want to push to that? I didn't say that.
Not really. I'm just looking at.
No, look. I mean, there's a big hype. The reality is that there is a big hype.
There is experience as well. People are playing on what she has been able to do before in the Western Cape, and of course, it's different dynamics in Johannesburg, especially also with the coalition.
Yeah.
But we'll see on the 20th.
Yeah.
What kind of leader, though, as the DA in Gauteng, do you think is needed for a city like Johannesburg, especially given the complexities around the coalition dynamics?
Well, in your introduction, you mentioned issues around non-expenditure. You mentioned issues of financial prudency and financial, what is the right word, of the running of government in a way that services do reach people. City of Johannesburg should actually be a multi-trillion rand city, not a multi-billion, must be a multi-trillion rand city. You're going to need somebody who understands that this is a big vein in the heart of the South African economy that is now clogged up. We now need to then reopen it. So you're going to need that change agent. You're going to need somebody that comes in and say that I'm going to be able to, open up the closed corridors. I'm going to look at the CBD of Johannesburg and how do we then begin to clean it up? How do we then begin to reclaim the properties? How do we begin to repurpose some of the existing infrastructure so that it then begins to then generate life back into the CBD? I walked the CBD of Johannesburg 2 weeks ago. We walked actually from Carlton Center all the way up to the old Oriental Plaza. So we walked the whole area. The decay that is there, Clement, the amount of fresh water that is just pouring out of the ground because of the pipes that are just gone, the amount of manhole lids that are gone, street lights that are not working, the traffic lights that are not working, the buildings that are hijacked. I mean, you walk on Bree Street, you walk underneath, there's supposed to be a basement. I promise you, there's a place where there's a small mall inside of a basement, an informal mall. That's what you get, and you need to get somebody who has that understanding that it's not going to be an easy thing. You're going to need somebody that is going to be able to then take on the ministers and the premier and also other entities within government to then say, Minister of Home Affairs, come, let's do something about the issue of, migrants who are here. You're going to need to then say to the Minister of Police, there's an issue of crime and grime in here. What are we doing about it? But you're also going to need to then ensure that you have an MMC and also you as the mayor, who is not just going to be a populist, but who can then go and say, it's going to be painful, but we're going to start enforcing bylaws. You can't just build anyhow. You can't just hijack buildings and then, put things that are not supposed to be there. You can't just open up taxi ranks anywhere. You can't just dump just about anywhere. It's an issue of management. It's also an issue about bylaw enforcement. And that all the entities within, 3 levels of government needs to come into play here. Yeah. And that's the kind of person that you're going to need who understands that.
Okay. How strong is the DA in the province of Gauteng? I know that the internal polling suggests that the DA is overtaking the ANC in some key Gauteng metros.
Yeah.
But how strengthening is the position of the Democratic Alliance in this province, especially now ahead of these elections next year?
Well, our polls, and not only our polls, but we have looked at polls that are conducted by other entities as well, are showing that the DA is the biggest actually in the metros or in urban South Africa. Now the DA is the biggest. The ANC is closely, behind. In one municipality, actually, we've surpassed the ANC. In Tshwane, we had actually surpassed the ANC by over 15%. But obviously, yeah. And in Johannesburg, it's neck on neck.
Was that before Nasipi Moya?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, things have changed, eh?
No, well, Samkelo, we train Samkelo very, very well. Samkelo plays the media very, very well. But what you do in the media space and what you do on the ground are two different things.
But people really seem to like the Tshwane mayor.
But that's the thing. But you must then ask, what is the real thing that she's
They
doing?
think she's working. I mean, when I have her on the show, people call in and they say, you promised to fix this. I've seen that it's fixed. You promised to deliver this. I see that it's delivered. Okay. So people point to things that have happened that the mayor, and I'm not saying she's perfect. I'm just saying my barometer is the people that I broadcast
Then
to.
if you are then saying that that is the case, let me tell you what is the biggest test that is reliable. Is when you go and fight by elections. That's when you then say that your popularity is actually then...
It's not translating to the votes.
If you are a mayor of a city and you cannot even fight by elections in your own city, what does that tell you?
Are they losing by elections in Tshwane?
They don't fight by elections because they don't have structures to contest by elections.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that come the local government elections, people are not going to go and vote for
well, but it takes more than just being on, coming to radio or going on social media or releasing statements. It takes a lot about doing things right on the ground, yes, but it also talks about a lot of programs that needs to be done, that you go out there and do what needs to be done from a political perspective and also from an administrative perspective. Look, I mean, there's quite a lot of things that the DA had actually then put in place, and when we were there, and she was part of it, and she was
deputy mayor, right?
Yeah, and she it's almost like go for the longest hanging fruit and cut the ribbons here, there, and there, and then make noise about that. I mean, you talk about the refurbishing of the power stations that we started, under Brink and Themba Fosi. You talk about some of the economic projects that were on the way that are now coming to fruition. Obviously, she would then claim those. But what I find very funny is that when it's all good, then they want to claim it. But when things are not that good, no, it's not our fault.
But you guys do the same thing as the DA. You've got ministers who came in the national government, and then they busy cutting ribbons and launching things that were actually started with the previous administration.
You must ask then what stole them. In this instance, I can tell you
they were not stalled at all. Some of them were not stalled.
There were things that were stalled. The drone project, as an example, it was a project that had been stalled.
Which the Home Affairs
Yes,
project.
it was a project that had been stalled.
Well, but the Minister of Home Affairs at the time will tell you when they started the process and why they were not able to launch it at the time before they were taken out of office.
Well, that's the whole thing, Clement. I'm saying that it's you can't want to then claim the good and not the bad, and
True.
this is the point.
But I suppose the point I'm trying to make is the DA doesn't come and say, the DA creates an impression that, oh, look, the minister just started their DA minister and look at what we were able to do. There's no context given that actually basic education minister at the time, Angie Motshekga, started this program and Siviwe Kagube saw it through. There's no context like that. So Latswana.
No, not really. There are, when we got in, there are certain things that we normally propose. Even now, I can tell you, I can show you a document that we had proposed to Panyaza to deal with issues of safety and security, issues to deal with the infrastructure that we said this is what needs to be done, right? And some of them, because they come from the DA, they never get to be implemented. 2-3 years down the line, you somehow find it snuck in somewhere, and then it gets to be introduced as this the next best thing after sliced bread.
And
while we had actually, and then
like what?
So I'm telling you, I'm giving you examples. So we now have said what needs to be done because we've been to each and every of the 146 police stations in this province. I've been to every single one of them. I've seen what is happening there. I've spoken to the police. I've spoken to the business people. I've spoken to the residents who are affected by this, right? Yeah. And we then put a report together. And we then wanted to meet up with Panyaza. We actually then gave a part of that to his office because he wouldn't meet up with us. And we even took it to the chairperson in the safety portfolio in Parliament because this is what we found out, and we are making certain suggestions in terms of what needs to be done, in terms of dealing with the vehicle, shortages in this police in the police stations. They've centralized everything. That you find that vehicles have to go to Silverton when a car is supposed to be in Roslyn, as an example. So it's there for over a year over a small thing. These are kind of things that we've picked up, and we've then put a a document that also then begins to then say, but this is what you can then do to fast track some of these things.
What are you proposing exactly?
So there's a number of things. There are certain police stations that don't have holding cells, right? Yeah. In Gauteng, you have police stations that don't have holding cells. You have police stations that don't have working telephone lines. So you call a police station, you're not going to get an answer. So if you don't have a number of a constable or a sergeant in that particular police station, you're not going to get an answer. You would have police stations like in Acacia, and it's one of the West when it comes to infrastructure. And they're trying, big ups to the men and women in blue in that particular police station, but the kind of hardships that they have to work through. First of all, when you drive in there, you have to walk through sewer to get into a police station. You get into a police station, you get taken into a boardroom that is part charge office, part boardroom, part, where they do their morning drill, pass out, part where, if there is somebody who's coming to report a GBV case, that person is somehow taken into that space as well. So, these are the kind of things that you come across. So, and there's also a lot of police morale that is actually then hit rock bottom. So we are then saying there's quite a lot of things that can be done in terms of fixing the infrastructure that is there, the buildings themselves, fixing connectivity of the police, fixing the availability of resources and better training of the police. And then also talking about the issue of ensuring that vehicles are a priority and they become available. And also to then lessen the amount of cases per detective. Right now in Gauteng, if I tell you this, Clement, that you have police that on average, each police detective is carrying close on 200 cases an individual. And some police stations, you have police detectives that don't even have space to even keep their dockets there. They have to then keep their dockets in another police station, drive 15, 30 Ks to go and access a docket. And you wonder why some things never gets to be resolved, the cases never gets to be concluded. It's those kind of things. And these are things that we said we've picked up, we've put a document that talks to these kind of things and what are the solutions that we propose.
Is that the right office to send it to, though? Because some of those are on the ambit of national.
I agree with you, but we have said that the biggest challenge that we're sitting with is this, Clement. We've always had an umbrella approach to crime in South Africa or the policing in South Africa. But the reality is that the circumstances of Johannesburg will be different to the circumstances of Limpopo, will be different to the circumstances of Northwest and any other, and even the Western Cape.
Yeah.
And therefore, we need to be talking about how do we decentralize the running of police. Panyaza should be allowed or should be capable of having to appoint enough personnel, equip them, to deal with the issues that are here. We have gangsters in certain parts of Gauteng. We have issues of Zamazama. I mean, Johannesburg is falling apart in the ZBD because there are people who are digging underneath Johannesburg as we speak. There's issues around, hijacked buildings. We need units that can talk to that. Certain parts of Gauteng still has the highest amount of GBV cases. Then, you don't have police that are trained to then deal with the victims when they do come in, the empowerment centers. And all these things, you can then say you would have a minister at a national level making, strategies around what happened in each and every each province. We need to then have a provincial centered police and strategy, and that is what we have been pushing for.
The devolution of powers.
The devolution of power from a national to a provincial perspective. And then from there, to also then ensure that because you already have these metros, how do we then empower the metros with the police that they have to then multiply the force that you have, and then not only have them as just being traffic calmers or traffic watchers, but they can actually then deal with issues of bylaw enforcement. They can deal with issues that we now need to then look into.
The national government often, when this issue of devolution comes, they say we are well aware of those needs of the different provinces. So when the resources are being allocated, it's based on the needs of each province. So there's no blanket approach of here's 10 billion rand or 100 million rand for each and every province for policing. You look at the needs.
Well, if that is the case, why is Hammanskraal not having Hammanskraal that has to serve plots, not having a proper high-rise vehicle that is able to then go off-road into the plots? Why is it that you would have the police that are in the western municipality not able to then have equipment that will then allow them to go into the ground and deal with people that are digging and being active under the mines illegally? Why is it that you would have certain police stations that are not having your victim empowerment centers, while you have the highest number of cases reported in those police stations? So that tells you that we are not really addressing the real problems. I can tell you right now, the fact that you've actually even centralized so much, this is why you would have police saying there's a vehicle that is out of commission because there was just something wrong with the brakes or something like that, and the vehicle has been out of commission for over 280 days. That is not acceptable. And why would you then have a police station like Karankua that had to go on for over a year without having telephone lines? And in certain instances, you don't even have holding cells. Akasi is an example of that. You don't have holding cells in that particular police station. If they're already short on vehicles, they arrest somebody, that vehicle is now out of the precinct into another precinct for almost 2 hours because they have to then go process somebody. What happens then when you don't have visible policing? These are the kind of things that we are saying you can't look at them from a national perspective. You need to then break it down and say each province must be empowered to look at what are the issues in their own province. Empower even the provincial commissioner even much more in terms of the appointments, in terms of the strategies that needs to be employed, and then the resources thereof.
Yeah, in fact, there's someone here who says, "Hi Clement, Solly there is talking about where I'm at. At Lenasia, we don't have holding cells. In the event of complaining or serving a court order, you'll be told to wait as they are having one van." I'm going to take more of your inputs. If you've got questions, you can call us, or you have a question for Solly, or you want to weigh in on what he has said so far. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines first. Sister, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Different parts of Gauteng have been rocked by service delivery protests this morning. From east to south, residents have blocked roads with rubble, with most of them demanding that water be supplied in their households. Some of the places that have been affected include Westbury, Coronationville, and some parts of the East Rand. The EFF has today submitted a private member's bill to amend the Electoral Act to allow for the automatic registration of all South Africans when they turn 16. The party says it has written to National Assembly Speaker Tokoti Diza to facilitate the drafting of the final text of the electoral amendment bill. And South Korea has sent a plane to fetch hundreds of workers from the United States who were detained in an immigration raid. More than 400 people were arrested at the Hyundai LG battery plant under construction in Georgia last week. The US released a video showing some being shackled with chains around their hands, ankles and waists. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traveling on the N3 South, we've got heavy traffic volumes. This is due to an accident right near the Kilulis interchange. Delays coming out of Linksfield Road. There's also slow-moving traffic on the N3 North between the Geldenes interchange and the Kilulis turnoff as a result of that scene. And then if you're traveling on the N12 as well as the R24 West, we've got roadworks taking place on this route, and they're causing delays between the Edenville Road exit and the Kilulis interchange. Otherwise, traveling on the M1 South, more roadworks are taking place approaching Xavier Street. Please be on the lookout there. And as you heard on Eyewitness News, several protests within Gauteng this morning. So do try and avoid areas like Sophia Town, Westine, as well as Newlands. Main Road is completely closed off to traffic between Eric Place and Perth Road as a result of the protests within the area. And then if you're traveling in the city of Tshwane, a major accident seen on the N1 North. It happened near Atterbury Road. Delays coming out of the Water Avenue exit. The R21 towards the Flying Saucer interchange is also backed up as a result of the scene. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Insurance pulls you in. Pineapple pulls you under. Insurance
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
One festival, endless flavor, and 2 unforgettable days of timeless music. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns on 20 and 21 September at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. On Saturday, the stage erupts with Don Toliver, Questa, and Nkabi Zezwe. Then on Sunday, experience the legendary Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, Lyra, and more. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star. Tickets at Ticketmaster.
When you're smiling, wear your favorite socks to school or work on the 19th of September, and your 20 Rand donation will help spread smiles to all children around South Africa.
The sun comes shining through.
Buy your Socks for Smile sticker today and make a world of difference. Smile Foundation.
Whenever you hear deep in the heart and art of jazz, think Sia Makuzeni with the big band, Jasmine Horn, Alun Wad, The Baylor Project, Jose James sings Badu, Umusangare, Esperanza Spalding, Michelle Dujiocello, Elaine, Tezo, Munei, Mondli Ngobo, and many other spectacular icons. Think Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival, 4 stages at the Sandton Convention Center, 26th, 27th, and 28th September, and take me there. Book via Ticketmaster.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're in conversation with Solly Msimanga, who is the leader of the Democratic Alliance in Gauteng. I'm taking your calls on 011-883-0702, your WhatsApps as well. Solly, I'll ask you to put on your headphones, and then we're going to take some WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Let me start with some tweets, though, that have come through. Lindy says, hi, Clement. Solly sounds like a guy who knows what he's doing and what should be done. Is our DA saying he's not good enough? He was once put forward as a mayoral candidate for Joburg. Why not this time around? Were you a mayoral candidate for Joburg at some point?
I was never.
I don't remember that.
For Joburg. No, and also.
Why didn't you put your hand up?
There's a lot to be done at the provincial level at this point in time. Okay. I still have 2 tricks that is coming up for the provincial legislature.
All right.
So I need to see that through.
All right. Floyd says, Clement, the current mayor of Tshwane stole the DA PR playbook, and now Solly Msimanga is busy crying foul. The DA does the same thing everywhere all the time. Politicians are all the same. And then let's go to Masinya, who's calling us from Tembisa. Masinya, good morning.
Good morning, Madimecha, Solly and the team there. Bona Madimecha, man. I normally don't believe too much in polls, but this time around, I agree with the DA. I mean, people here in Tembisa, not only they resonate with the DA's offer, but they say we want to see DA more. I mean, crime, Madimecha, starting with crime. Criminals are so brazen and emboldened. Last week, Saturday, we're celebrating the birthday of Mpoma Fole, our late brother, posthumously. And as part of people who are organizing that, my first concern was the safety of the people who will come there. I mean, fortunately, there was a private company that partnered with us. In Tembisa, there are all gates all over the place without even following the bylaw and the processes. You know why? Because of the crime. People accept that the ANC have failed and they want the DA. I agree with the poll. The DA must do the right thing when they govern. Thank you.
Thank you, Masinya in Tembisa. Musa, you are in Pretoria. Good morning. Hi, Musa.
Hello, Clement.
Hey, Tada.
Thank you, my brother. I want Solly to tell us one thing because some of us get confused. We like how they are doing, but there is that one issue that confuses me, like illegal immigration. I hear elements in the DA, they are supporting this illegal immigration. Those people are our resources are being exhausted, and they don't say anything about this illegal immigration that we are suffering under here. I want him to tell us categorically before we vote for them, what are they going to deal with the illegal immigration?
Okay. Let's hear from him. Musa in Pretoria, thank you. Solly?
Yeah, let me put it very, very clear, Awutu. We are not for illegal immigration. In fact, this is why we actually now working on strengthening our ports of entry. This is why we are saying people who want to come here, we must know who you are, where are you coming, where are you going to stay, what are you bringing, and all of that. That's the first thing. We were the first to propose that actually we need to be billing embassies of people that are not from South Africa, who are treated at our hospitals, who are at our schools. We've been saying that. But comrades were saying, no, that's not African, blah, blah, blah. And this is why now we have a situation like what we have. So it's not true that the DA has been, against, the removal of illegal immigrants. What the DA is against is the inhumane manner which is only meant for TV from time to time, because you get people who would go and yank people out of clinic lines, and we have seen the latest where somebody literally just died because this person is supposed to get TB medication and they were taken out of a line by certain organizations just for the TV, right? We are against that. We are saying, comb the country, know who is in your country. If they are there legally, yes, that's fine. If they are here illegally, then you need to then go through a process in which you are able to then say, is this person qualifying to be here? Or then they now need to then, go and apply. But don't look at it from just that angle, Clement, because that is just a populist thing. And we have seen one minister, who wanted to be popular for their own party, going to the borders and saying, no, I want to know how many people are coming in. The issue is, how do you then regulate the flows of people in and out? Where people want to then apply from? What do you do when you're there? How do we then secure our own borders? Why did we even take the SANDF from patrolling our borders? Why did we bring in the BMF that is not as resourced as they're supposed to be? Be? So to talk about a problem that is already in the country, but without talking about how do you prevent further problems from occurring, I think that's where the conversation needs to be taken at. But to put it categorically, we are against illegal immigration. We are for people coming here that are bringing investment, that are coming in to do work, but they qualify for.
Yeah.
And that, we can actually look at certain skills that might not necessarily, be here. And you would know there's never a country that has ever prospered on the basis of its own people.
And our laws are clear as to when you can actually look outside, right? You have to exhaust.
There you go. But also, we used to have something called Lindela. You remember there used to be Lindela?
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, but what happened to it? There used to be buses that used to go around, buses that would go around and make sure that people are picked up that are not supposed to be there. What happened to that?
Do you think, though, because Panyaza Lesufi announced, the Gauteng Premier, the other day, that they are going to go to, I think they announced a number of informal settlements, most of which are inundated with illegal foreign nationals, and they're saying we're going to go and start working on those informal settlements. Do you support the idea of actually going out to informal settlements where there are mostly illegal immigrants and take them to Lindela and they must be taken home?
Well,
because a lot of them take advantage. Yeah. And of course, there are some immigrants who are here and circumstances push them here, right? Yeah. They're looking for asylum, etc. And sometimes getting that at Home Affairs is difficult because there's so much corruption.
Yeah.
So people end up being here without papers, not because they don't want to get papers, but because getting a paper means paying a 10,000 rand bribe.
Which they don't have. Yeah.
But as it stands now, would you support the idea of going to informal settlements, people that are here illegally? Because some people do take advantage of our laws.
Yeah.
Because they are so lackluster.
And this is why I said to you, to make noise and to just jump in front of the cameras when Clement is there interviewing, says, I'm going to do this. It's one thing, Clement. But to fix the things that enable wrongdoing to take place is the hardest thing. There are laws in our country. By the way, you can't have asylum seekers just coming in, or somebody who's seeking asylum status in your country opening up businesses everywhere. You can't have that, right? But go and look at how many Pakistanians actually come into the country on that ticket. Asylum. And then once they're here, they run major businesses all over, right? And I'm not wanting us to then target a particular group here, but I'm just saying the issue is, how do we then deal holistically with the systems that are in place? You gave an example about somebody who's rightly applied or legally applied, but it's taking forever for them to get an answer. They end up then resorting to wrong things. So that you deal with those things, first of all. And then once you've done with that, you then say, police, I need to then ensure that I'm able, when I do a sweep, we're able to then do a sweep, and we're able to then permanently then be able to then, patrol and make sure that these things don't reoccur.
Not even resources.
But again, that's the point that I'm coming to. If there's no resources, that's the other issue. But also there's no resources even at the point of entry. That you take somebody out, but I promise you, in a month's time, some of them even brag. They say, no, I'm going home, I'm taking money home, I'm taking, groceries home, I'll be back here.
Even when they get repatriated, I mean, some of them will submit themselves to authorities so that they send them to Lindela so that they can get a free bus.
They go home and then they're back here. But that's the point that I'm making. And when I was in the city of Tshwane, one thing that frustrated me is this. We arrested three gangs or three groups. One was dealing in prostitution in Centurion. One was dealing with vehicles around the Watlu area. And then the other one was dealing with drugs. And all of them were run by, one was run by the Nigerians. The one, no, not in Silverton, in Pretoria West. The one for vehicles was in Silverton, in Pretoria West. That one was run by Ghanaians, right? And every time these guys will be arrested, the next time you come and do a raid and arrest, it's the same people again. So Panyaza can talk about going into these informal settlements and dealing with, removing people. But if you're not going to have a system that talks to all the other departments that are supposed to be involved in this, I promise you, all you're going to be doing is you're going to be arresting people, you're going to be removing people. In a month's time, the same people are going to be back because it's not sustained, but it's also not talking to all the departments that are supposed to be spoken to. And that's where, even yesterday, we said, well, we would support the idea, because you asked me that. Will we support the idea? We support the idea of removing people that are illegally occupying spaces that they're not supposed to be occupying. But then also it should not just be for show. It should not just be a 5 minutes thing that, we are seen to be doing something for the camera, but after a week or two or a month, we're back to square one, because then we haven't done anything.
All right. I've got some more questions coming through. We'll get to them after the break. It's 13 minutes before 11.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Why have you decided as the MK party to file a formal complaint?
The MK party is a party that respects the rule of law. We cannot have a situation where when we take power, then the rand is going to tank, because now it's all these reckless, irresponsible people that are destroyers that are taking over. Self-interest activities like this one. This is a DA self-interest issue that is being articulated using a cabinet position. This is abuse of office.
Ms. Manele Mani.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
South African municipalities face tough challenges every day, from infrastructure breakdowns to service delivery protests, through the International City and County Managers Global Exchange Program and the Talent Management Seminar. Local government leaders gain new ideas, proven solutions and international partnerships to bring real change back home, because when municipalities work better, communities live better.
What does extraordinary mean to you? Is it factories and warehouses that run themselves, or monitoring your assets in real time? Vodacom Business has connected more than 11.1 million IoT devices to enable smarter business, AI, cloud, enterprise apps, IoT and security. One seamless ecosystem. Search Vodacom Business IoT. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business. Further together.
That's the sound of your business growing. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, turn your passion into profit with Capitec Business Banking. Save up to 50% on fees. Get fast credit approvals, personalized support, and Forex for your business. Open your business banking account on our app. Bank on better with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Capitec is an authorized FSP 4669. T's and C's apply.
Back by popular demand, legendary jazz icon Kenny G will be performing at the Super Bowl at Sun City on Friday, the 3rd of October. Get ready for an unforgettable night of timeless hits and pure musical magic. Get your tickets from webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Breakout Events and 702.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
10 minutes now before 11 o'clock. We're just about to wrap up our conversation with Solly Msimanga, who's the leader of the Democratic Alliance in Gauteng. Hlengani says, Clement, and Solly there, I would like to vote for the DA candidate in my ward, but what I have noticed is that there's no DA visibility in the townships. How is the DA going to solve this? That's a message from Hlengani. He doesn't tell us which township.
Yeah, I would have wanted to know, because my constituency, we each have a constituency. My constituency, Atteridgeville. Go to Atteridgeville. I can tell you where you can meet us every weekend. If you have issues, I can give you the contact details of our councillors, or even our peer councillors in those areas, or even people that we call coordinators that are able to then assist you. If you can let us know, exactly where, we might be able to connect you with the right people.
Yeah, Hlengani, send us a WhatsApp and tell us which township you are based at. Here's some WhatsApp voice notes.
I don't even know why the DA is contesting the mayoral position in Joburg. I mean, these guys have failed in Cape Town. I mean, if you look at Kukuletu, Khayelitsha, people are dying every day at the Cape Flats. What have they done there? So they're coming here to do what? What difference will they make in Joburg? I mean, they must first fix Cape Town and then come talk to us. We're not talking about the affluent suburbs in Cape Town, Norman, Lombardy East.
Short Clement. Solly must tell us if they believe that Helen Zille can fix the city of Johannesburg. What strategy do they have for Soweto, because it's greater part of Johannesburg? If they failed to fix the townships in Cape Town but concentrate on the suburbs, what will make them change here? They're only going to focus on the CBD. What happens to the townships of Johannesburg? Thank you.
Hi, Clement. It's amazing how the DA has an ability to remove themselves from anything that is bad that's happening in government, as if they're not or haven't been in government. We've seen them remove themselves from issues when it comes to national governance, as if they're not part of the GNU. We've seen them remove themselves from issues in Tshwane, as if they haven't been in charge of Tshwane for the past probably decade. We've seen CDS brings tweets blaming Dr. Nasipi Moya for problems, for things that have happened when the DA was in charge, even when he was in charge. It's amazing how they can just stand over there and point fingers like they had nothing to do with anything. They are innocent. They are the fixers of everything. They have never been in a position to provide a solution for anything. It is just an amazing talent.
Bongani from Brodiport. Clement, this guy is brilliant. He's brilliant. He answers so eloquently, besides the eloquence, but then the things that he's talking about make sense. It makes sense, and he's genuine. It's like it's coming from the heart. It's like he loves the city, and this is different from what we've seen in the past. This is very nice.
Very nice, they say. How much did you pay that guy to call in?
I want to respond quickly.
Yeah, by the way, Hlengani says he's based in Vosloorus.
Vosloorus. There is somebody, there's Katuchelo Rasilungwane. If you can maybe send me the details, I can connect you with it. But let me respond. Yeah. I challenge the person who says the DAs remove themselves from government failures to point at what failure has the DA removed themselves from. And I'll promise you I can give you a document every single time of things that we would have proposed that either should be rejected or gets to be put on the back burner. So I think, getting context or actually having facts helps when you're calling in onto a public space and then making, comments. You speak about, Celia Brink, blaming Nasipi for certain things. Nasipi knows, because Nasipi was part of government, was sitting on the executive committee when decisions are taken. And when now she wants to then claim that certain things were never discussed or never done while she had been part of those meetings, that's what Brink normally brings up, to then say, but hang on, you were there. I'll give you an example. When they issued that unpopular decision, which then came to be proven to be the right one, where the city said we don't have enough money to give increases. What happened? There was a lot of hullabaloo. The city was almost in flames. Waste was not being removed. But Celia Brink stuck to the guns. And NCP was part of that government at that time. And now they're reaping the rewards of being able to then save money and be able to then not only pay more in terms of salaries, but also to then be able to then, deal with other projects. So, we can go on the whole day about these things. I would have loved for somebody to then come and tell us, what that means when they say that the DA is removing themselves from the failures of government. And then there's the issue around the strategy for Soweto. The strategy for Soweto, and somebody responds to then say, what have you done in the Cape Town? I can tell you right now, go and look at the stats and look at where, the biggest amount of, formalization has taken place of informal settlements. And where there's a whole lot of influx of people, to those formalized services, it's happening where the DA is actually then in government. So I think it's propaganda that is not going to wash. Before, the DA used to be blamed to say, no, you'll bring back apartheid if you're part of government. We are in government now. We're fighting for things that are working towards excluding people. We're fighting for the poor. This is why we fought against VAT. This is why we said, we will stand here, we'll make sure that services are going to where they're supposed to be. So the strategy around Soweto, Soweto needs infrastructure that will support the economy of Soweto. I met with young people in Soweto, twins in Soweto. One of them has studied engineering, is an engineer, a mechanical engineer. Another one is a chef, a qualified chef. They are sitting in a corner. I sat with them. I actually have a tweet about them. One is saying, if you go to the Orlando industrial area, I should be there fixing vehicles, but now it has been hijacked by people that are not even from South Africa, right? The other one is saying, I should be there working in a culinary place where I can actually then be doing, great things, but I cannot because the people that are there are not from here, as an example. So what we now need to then do is to then say, how do we then reclaim some of the spaces that can actually get the economy going? How do we then ensure that we deal with the issues of safety and security, but also there is a budget? Clement, let me give you a shocking stat. By their own admission, Johannesburg is only able to then do less than 100 kilometers of road maintenance a year. Less than 100. Do you know what is the required standard? 1,200.
They don't have the money.
But that's the thing. It's not the issue of not having the money. It's the issue of then cutting things that you can then do without.
But I do know that even during the DA's tenure in Johannesburg...
No. At that time, we can actually then prove to you that there was an attempt to get to 8% of maintenance.
Enough,
no, it was not. Do you know what is the current now? It's less than 2%.
I know, but the point I'm trying to make is throughout... In fact, because I've spoken a lot about this on the show, no administration has taken the issue of maintenance seriously enough to increase the budget for it.
Well,
2%, 8%.
This is why I said that you're going to need to then do some unpopular things going forward.
Yeah.
Do we have, the question that we're going to need to then answer is this. Do we have the right people in the right places doing the right things? What do I mean by that? In certain instances, you have bloated departments that do nothing. In the city of Johannesburg, you have 11 entities, right? You have 11 entities, and you still have the departments that are doing what these entities are supposed to be doing, and both are failing. Why should we then be paying people millions of rands every month as consultants and people on the side, while we can then use that money to then beef up the departments that are in existence and then make sure that those departments then do what needs to be done? Why can we not have people signing performance management contracts that then says, as a HOD, if you fail to expend that amount of money, if you fail to do what the Auditor General has raised in terms of your audit, outcomes and expenditure, then you cannot retain your job. But that doesn't happen. And this is something that Panyaza is saying, well, he's taking action off. But he hasn't. All he's done is actually then play musical chairs. He
did take action against some of the
Where are they? Is there anyone who's fired?
There's one who was suspended.
There's nobody who's fired. People are moved from one department to another. That is not taking action. That is actually playing musical chairs. Okay. What you needed to do is to
Solly, 1 second. Can I keep you for a few more minutes?
Sure.
So I give you a more chance to explain your point.
Sure.
Because I'm late for the news now.
Do you know what's hiding behind the colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org, by the 30th of September.
At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crush prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Police have fired rubber bullets at residents in Westbury who have been protesting over prolonged water shortages. The area and nearby communities, including West Dean and Clement, have had to contend with dry taps in recent weeks. A 68-year-old man is one of the people who've sustained injuries after being shot with a rubber bullet on his back and bottom. James Johnson says he was targeted and shot unprovoked.
Currently, EMPD, FRU and Tsakane precinct officers are on the scene monitoring the situation and have cleared the rubble from the roadway. The traffic is now flowing freely. Protesters are currently waiting to be addressed by the ward councillor.
The EFF has today submitted a private member's bill to amend the Electoral Act to allow for the automatic registration of all South Africans when they turn 16. The party says it has written to National Assembly Speaker Toti Diza to facilitate the drafting of the final text of the Electoral Amendment Bill. EFF spokesperson Thembi Msane.
The private member bill seeks to amend the Electoral Act of 1998 to provide for the automatic registration of all South African citizens on the national voters roll upon reaching the age of 16.
She says the bill was necessitated by the historic drop in voter turnout over the years.
The EFF introduces this bill to resolve the profound crisis of democratic participation in South Africa voter turnout, which has collapsed to historic lows, with just 58.6% of registered voters participating in the 2024 national elections.
Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia has not ruled out the deployment of the army in Cape Town as a high-level response to gang violence. Communities across the metro have appealed to government to send soldiers where gang battles continue unabated. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola argues that soldiers are not trained for civilian law enforcement.
Remember, police, they have a pistol, they can defend themselves with gangs, and they have rubber bullets. The army don't have rubber bullets, they only have live ammunition, and they don't know policing. So if you throw the army with stone, what do you expect them to do? Is it what you want?
Kachalia says the thought of deploying the army to gang hotspots has crossed his mind, but he says the idea will be put on ice for now and may be revisited if there's a need.
So I will keep an open mind on this question. I've asked the question. For the time being, it's not an option that I'm considering. If I get to that point, I will have to have a conversation with the president, because only the president can take that decision.
And South Korea has sent a plane to fetch hundreds of workers from the US who were detained in an immigration raid. More than 400 people were arrested at a Hyundai LG battery plant under construction in Georgia last week. The US released a video showing some being shackled with chains around their hands, ankles and waists. South Korea's government later said that it reached an agreement with the US for the release of the workers. Gold is trading at $3,638.23 an ounce. The rand is at 17.51 to the dollar, 23.70 to the pound, 20.50 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $66.97 a barrel.
And in the traffic, main road in the Sophiatown area remains closed off to traffic. This is between Eric Place and Perth Road. This is due to protests within the area. Please try to avoid. While traveling on the N3 North, we've got delays between the Geldenhuys interchange and the Kilulis interchange due to roadworks.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 27 and 28 degrees. The developing story in EWN this hour. Police have fired rubber bullets at residents in Westbury who have been protesting over prolonged water shortages.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
6 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. We still have the DA leader in Gauteng, Solly Msimanga. I asked him to stay for just 5 more minutes, and then we'll let him go. Solly, you were making a point about the Premier of Gauteng and the issue of underspending, and you were arguing that there actually is no proper accountability.
So we're sitting here, there's 177 forensic reports that we said they must be made public. Initially, he went around and said they don't exist. I've made this up. We gave them the case now. We gave them the forensic numbers. He said they didn't exist. We went to the public protector. We went to the information regulator still. I can give you in black and white what they responded and say they don't exist. Then later on, they gave documents that were heavily redacted, that only talks to memos and not the forensic reports, memos. And we're still taking this on. But the point I'm making here, Clement, is this. You cannot continue with the same people doing the same things and expect different results. What you need to do is to make sure that you look at all the departments, the worst performing departments in terms of expenditure, in terms of supply chain management issues that they don't comply with. And you'd realize, I mean, as we speak, Gauteng is sitting with 4.3 billion rand of irregular expenditure. 4.3, that's no small change. The Department of Health, as an example, is actually sitting with 1.3, if not 1.8 billion rand of outstanding invoices. And you wonder why you go to hospitals and to clinics, there's no clean linen or there's no medication and all these things. Now, these are things that we now need to then look at and say, are we really doing the right things? Are the people that are the accounting officers doing the right things? And to then move them from one department to the other is not really, incentivizing doing good, Clement. Because of then, the same kind of challenges that they were involved in one department then gets to then be transferred over to the next one. And this is why we are saying there needs to be some serious action that is taken and not, doing musical chairs, because that is not really dealing with the situation.
Yeah. Will you, is there still an opportunity for you to join the provincial government of unity?
We've made it very, very clear. We're open to discussing, we're open to negotiations, but we're not open to be rubber stampers of bad decisions. That is very clear. So if they want us to engage, we've put on the table. It's not about positions. It's not about the number of positions we get. I've made that very, very clear. But it's about how do we then turn the machinery of government. One of the things that I liked that we call him Kolobe, Jacob Mamabolo, said yesterday, and this is something that we raised a number of times, yesterday in a sitting admitted that part of the reason why there have been great failures in government project is that there is no proper project management, there is no proper contract management. This is why you would have people like what happened in Bree Street. People come in and do work and then get paid, and then the work is left, and then you have to go get another contractor and you have to pay somebody else to do the job that you have already paid for. So these are things that they're now admitting that are failures. And this is things that we have been saying for the longest of time. Let's look into these things before we then say we can work together, because we don't want to be blamed at the provincial level of perpetuating the failures of government. We want to come in, we want reforms to be brought in, and this is what have been, at the minimum, what we've been asking of the ANC.
Yeah, someone says, Tsepo says, Clement, Solly is saying that the current administration in Tshwane is benefiting from Celia Brink refusing to increase salaries, but Tshwane Council approved a 5-year salary increment pact for workers after, of course, they had been protesting and they had to be forced to do so. So that's not something to celebrate.
No. But you see, in part of the agreement, they say that every year you can actually have a review. And that's what Tshwane did. And this is why in court it was actually then enforced. So it's not as if it was a legal thing to then say this is what is going to happen. It says on the availability of funds to then be able to then carry that through. So you don't go. Let me tell you what happened if you go to Mfuleni, because I happen to sit also on Kokta at the provincial level, right? In Mfuleni, they're now taking money that is supposed to be going towards fixing roads, that is supposed to be going towards building infrastructure. They're paying salaries because you've allowed the escalation of salaries to a point where the only amount of money that you have is for that. You cannot even remove waste in certain areas because you cannot pay for your trucks. You cannot pay for diesel. You cannot pay, for service providers. And you only pay municipal workers in certain instances who are not actually even doing anything. They are sitting there because the trucks are not, working. The service providers have attached some of the assets there. So this is something that you're going to need to look at. And this is why I was saying to you, Clement, we're going to need to then make some uncomfortable but necessary decisions at some point, where you then going to say, what has been happening cannot continue to happen. We need to put a stop on some of these things. We need to then be unpopular in order to do the things that will benefit the majority of the residents in the long run.
Yeah, but if you don't pay people their salaries and increase the wages, only to be forced by the bargaining council, that doesn't help you.
No, but the bargaining council agreed. Because at that year, it was agreed that they will look into the following year. It was
because there was no money in that current year.
Yes, in that current year there wasn't. And let me tell you what happened, and to show you that this what I'm talking about works. Celia Brink went back and said, we will raise this money because there's a debt book. We will fix meters. We will ensure that we save water in terms of fixing the meters that are leaking or pipes that are leaking. Let's save water so that we don't have to pay rainwater and we don't have to pay Eskom exorbitant amounts of money. Let's go and collect on the debt book, reduce the debt book, save money, and then you will be able to then have salaries. Guess what? That is what happened. You were able to then save a whole lot of money to build up a kitty that when the salaries were supposed to then be increased, there was money to do that comfortably. That's what you need to then do. You don't go and do what Mfuleni has done. You increase, yet at the same time, you're increasing with a decreasing amount of your ability to provide services on the other end.
Solly Msimanga, let me thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, sir.
I will see you on the 20th of September when you announce Helen Zille as the candidate.
So you say, so you say, Clement, so you say.
Thank you, Solly. It's 13 minutes after 11.
Burning questions.
Insightful answers.
Listener's choice.
With Clement Manyathela.
Time for our Listener's Choice feature. And today we have been asked by one of our listeners to discuss budget underspending and how it affects us. As you've heard, even with the conversation with Solly Msimanga, the DA leader here in Gauteng, across the country, billions of rand are allocated each year to build houses, clinics, schools, roads, and provide other vital services. But every single year, there's a significant portion of that money that goes unspent. And that's budget underspending. And what that means for you and I is that there are funds that are available, yes, on paper, but communities continue to wait for basic infrastructure and services. President Cyril Ramaphosa has said this underspending is a treasonous act. Its impact cannot be downplayed, and it raises serious questions about governance, planning, and delivery in our public sector. And it affects ordinary South Africans most directly. In fact, even Premier Panyaza Lesufi has moved some of the HODs to other departments because they were underspending the budget, and that's something that the DA is unhappy about because they're saying, why not fire them? Why are you reshuffling them? Let's bring in now Dr. Tumisani Janchis, who is the director of the Parliamentary Budget Office, joining us on the line. Dr. Janchis, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you and your listeners as well. Thank you so much.
Can you just explain in simple terms what budget underspending is and how it is tackled in governance, in government finances? Because often we see the need in whether you are in a municipality, whether you are looking from a provincial government perspective, there's often a need for service delivery. So it surprises many of us when there is budget that's allocated, but a big portion of it sometimes is just underspent.
No, thank you so much. You are correct, and I over-listened to your conversation with Solly from Gauteng. In simple terms, budget underspending happens when a government entity, in a colloquial term, fails to spend the full amount of money that Parliament had allocated for a specific year. In a very simple term, I mean, I don't like using this example, but think of a household budget. If you set aside money to buy groceries for a month but don't spend all of it, that's sort of underspending. But for government, it's actually it's very bad thing. It's not even a saving. It is usual, as you said. It means a planned service, like building a clinic or fixed road, did not happen in that year, and that becomes a bad thing in that context. And I think what happens is that when government in the public sector in particular, there are laws that guide how such underspending can be tracked or can be identified. You could talk PFMA, MFMA, whereby departments, entities are required to regularly report on the spending against their budgets and the likes. And of course, our office and offices like the AGSA analyze that information, provides to legislatures for oversight purposes. So yes, you're correct. There is certain perceptions. We've done a lot of work over the recent past, looking at underspending in all different spheres of government, from national, province, and municipalities. And we do see that there is some sense of level of underspending, but it differs in levels in different spheres. But all across all the three spheres, there's some sense of level of underspending.
Yeah.
But of course, it depends. I can talk more detail into different spheres, but at the aggregate level, of course.
Yeah. So let's look at which spheres are most affected and how widespread is this problem across the different levels of government. Are we seeing it more at national, at provincial, at municipal?
Well, it manifests differently, Clement. As I said earlier, in our analysis, it does show that all three levels sphere, it happens on aggregate national level. We did a longitudinal study, look at 10-year, 12-year horizon. We do see on average national, there is an average between 3 and 5% of underspending. But it's very interesting that could sound like a small amount, but I think if this aggregated amount really masks a significant amount of spending for specific departments. For example, on there you saw that one department, I think public enterprise, underspend by 30% of their budget. When you look at the provinces, for example, the picture is a bit more inconsistent. Analysis does show that some of the provinces significantly underspend in recent years. For example, one of the areas that worried us was around social development, where we've seen close to 15% in one of the provinces, I think Gauteng, Eastern Cape or Western Cape, one of them where you see quite a trend of underspending. For municipalities, the analysis of the country's metros in particular found that there isn't as high significant as it is, but I think the key challenge and concerns that we have around underspending local government, it really relates to the underspending in heavily concentrated in infrastructure and capital projects, which are so vital for city growth and service delivery, in particular, as you said earlier on. So that's really a big picture that we see, particularly depending on economic classifications. But infrastructure is the big one for all three spheres, where we don't see roads, we don't see buildings, hospitals, schools are not being built, there's been delays, and that leads to underspending in that regard.
So what happens to the money that is not spent at the end of the financial year? And do we know what Treasury then does with that? Like, do they return it back to Treasury? What then, or can they Can it be part of what's budgeted for the next year? How does it work?
The underspent money, it has to be returned to a revenue fund. A department or a municipality can apply for half that funds roll over for use for the next financial year, but this is formal process and it is not guaranteed. If the reasons for underspending are not addressed, the entity may struggle to spend the rollover funds in particular. So it's a very difficult one because once it's underspent, it has to go back, it has to be applied for. So really the issue for me is really to address the systematic issues that lead to underspending. In our view, it's more systematic as opposed to just being underspending. It's a very, very tough issue in our concern in that regard. Sometimes you underspend, you're not going to get that money again, and the service need and infrastructure need remains in place. Doesn't mean that go away if you underspend. We didn't spend the money as the department did.
Okay. I want to bring in some questions from our listeners. 011-883-0702. Budget underspending and how it affects you and I. If you've got questions around that, you want to share your experiences with us, please give us a call on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-7021-702. Maybe you work in the system and you have picked up what are some of the issues really that lead to budget being underspent. I do have a question here, Dr. Jangchis, from someone who wants to know about the penalties or consequences for these departments or municipalities that continually underspend. Is there consequence management?
Well, it is a complex one. There is consequence management. What we've seen over the years is that what would have been one of the major consequences is that the National Treasury in the following year, they tend to not to allocate more money to that entity or to the department. It's a major consequence in that regard. But now you see that why I'm saying it's complicated, it creates a more problem because we've seen over the years, there's been a lot of debate around budget cuts that we've seen over the years in particular. And our concern has always been these budget cuts themselves lead to underspending. Because when you think about why some of the key reasons of underspending, it's lack of capacity within the departments for entity, lack of skilled people, vacant posts, say the complex procurement processes, delays in project implementation. So if you cut budgets for such departments, they will not be able to employ people, they'll not be able to deal with these complexities. And that in itself becomes a vicious cycle where underspending continues over time with a hard consequence for our economy, for society in particular. So as I'm saying, it's a bit complicated because what we need to really ensure is that department entities have capable people in projects and finance who are able in procurement, who are able to deliver on these things. Otherwise, it becomes a vicious cycle where we don't see growth, we don't see service being delivered, yet money being allocated or being taken away from those entities who are not spending. So it's very complicated in that way. Our view is that we need to push for ensuring that we've got capable people in these department entities, skilled, but also the systems themselves are in a way that they're able to withstand any frustration and delays in that regard. So that's really a sense in our analysis there, Clement.
Doesn't underspending also contribute to increased project costs when you look at it over time?
Yes, absolutely. A project that is delayed by a year or two due to underspending will almost cost more when it's eventually restarted. This is due to construction inflation and so on. So yes, that's another cost to the economy. The fact that if you delay the project or you underspend, it comes to cost to the economy. Hence the need to ensure that rather don't allocate the money, because the cost will be more in the coming years. This is we are correct in that regard. The public ultimately pays more for the same piece of infrastructure because of the initial fee to spend the budget on time. So yes, you are correct in that regard. Yeah.
Here's a WhatsApp voice note that's come through.
Good day, Clement. I understand that the money that is not spent, budget underspending, actually benefits the managers or whoever is supposed to spend it, in that they get sort of a rebate out of that money. So that's why you see them underspending, so that at the end of the financial year, they get part of that money so as sort of a rebate, and then sort of a handshake that they didn't spend a lot of money. So that's why they don't spend that money, because they get something from it. Thank you.
Is that really the case, Dr. Janchis?
Well, not in our experience. It wouldn't make sense. Maybe in businesses, it can be a profit, or whatever the case might be. But in government, look, I think one of the education, I like your show, public education show, we need to really debate the understanding of the public sector budget, to say we should not only see it the way we see household or a company budget, because for public services, if you underspend, it's actually a terrible thing, because it means the service has not been delivered. People are not happy, there are frustrations, but also the economy is not growing, because if we spend more money on infrastructure, we can hire more people, we can have more connectivity. So in all the fronts, they can never be a good thing. And our view also is that there has to be consequences for public managers who underspend. And I don't think we've seen a lot of that taking place. I think age has recommended a lot of that. You can't have public managers that earn so much money, and they allowed or given roles to ensure that the service is delivered, and they go and save money or they don't spend. But again, I said earlier on, Clement, that the way we have been debating or enforcing budget cuts has had its own unintended consequences. Because now, as your caller was saying, many black managers now see themselves as doing well by not spending because of the budget cuts. And it's a thing that we need to really reverse. The mindset that we need to reverse, that actually budget cuts or saving, there's no saving government. Because now many managers sitting in big offices, they ensure that they have service delivered, but they feel that cost-contained measures are useful for them to be seen as being good things. No, not in government. Yes, in private sector or whatever, you can have that. But in government, managers have to ensure that the services are delivered, use the budget allocated. But also remember, we borrow this money. The minister likes saying that, we'll say that we borrow this money, we charge interest in this money, and then we have to use it out that we reap benefits, being either service delivery benefits or ensuring that we can grow the economy out of this money. So that for me is a very important net we need to grab as society in that regard. There can never be any benefit for underspending government.
What role, though, does the Auditor General play in monitoring and exposing underspending?
Yes, the AG plays a very crucial role, actually. And I think that what I've seen, in part as a whole accountability system, ecosystem, through its annual audits, the agency provides an independent assessment of the financial management performance and so on. So I think what I've seen, what I've liked about the recent work is the live audits, which really they're able to let the oversight bodies to say, look, there's a need to intervene here all the time. So I think it plays a very, very crucial role in identifying some of these potential underspending over time. So I think it's a very good system that we have in that regard.
All right, let's listen to another voice note.
Hi, Clement. The main reason why we have this situation is because people are waiting for the right deal. They know where to spend the money. They just don't have the right partners whom they can collude with. Hence, we have underspending in the government.
Hi, Clement. This is Anonymous. Could one of the reasons why this is happening, the underspending, be to do with corruption? Like the government workers are busy waiting for the right person who will give them the right kickback, and that's why they are delaying, or they're busy trying to get their chommies to create a company to tender for it, and that might take time and that might add delays, and they'd rather just roll over to next year than give it to an honest person who isn't going to give them a kickback. I'm just wondering if that's part of the problem. This is Anonymous. Bye.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, Dr. Janchis?
Yes. The reasons given are remarkable consistently across all levels of government. Point to a systematic rather than isolated problems. The most common reasons from our analysis, you find that there's a complex and slow procurement process in particular, which we might as well relate to a point of your caller there. Another reason relates to delays in project implementations, often due to poor contract performance or community disruptions. We see that coming out a lot of times. But also another one related to vacant posts and lack of skilled personnel to manage project and finance within different government stages. Another common one, all these these four reasons. The last one is around poor planning and process delays, as some of the colleagues may have alluded to. Across all the spheres of government, these are the common challenges related to underspending. And I think when you tie them back, for me, this is really a leadership issue, a lot of capability. We need to really build a capable state in particular, which will really deal with these issues. Because when you look at these common things, are really linked up together. It's about really ensuring capability within the state entities that can deliver on the mandate of the entity, depending on what the constitution requires them to do.
Yeah.
Morning, Clement and your team. I would like to remain anonymous. I work in a government department, and we did return some funds. The challenge is the supply chain. Sometimes they don't even know what you want to procure, so it will drag until the end of financial year, and then we had to return the funds, and it's quite frustrating because the beneficiaries are waiting for the funds out there, but I don't know if we have to appoint people who are sector specific in the supply chain, or they know a little bit about what the department deals with, because they will take you from pillar to post when you want to procure something that they don't know. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes it now tricky. Hey, Dr. Dumisani Chanchis, thank you for making time for us. He's the director of the Parliamentary Budget Office. That takes us to 11:31. Bali has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. We begin in the courts where the 7 Chinese nationals convicted on 160 charges, including human trafficking, have each been sentenced to 20 years in prison. They were arrested for kidnapping and forcing 91 Malawians to work in a Johannesburg factory in 2019. 37 of the kidnapped found during the operation were children. Judgment was handed down in the South Gauteng High Court a short while ago. Police have fired rubber bullets at residents in Westbury who have been protesting over prolonged water shortages today. The area and nearby communities, including Westdean and Clement, have had to contend with dry taps in the recent weeks. A 68-year-old man is one of the people who sustained injuries after being shot on his back and bottom. And International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says his department is committed to seeing South Africa's case against Israel at the International Court of Justice through to its conclusion. Lamola is briefing Parliament's Portfolio Committee on International Relations today on South Africa's case to find Israel guilty. South Africa has already submitted its main arguments to the ICJ, alleging Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. Those are the headlines this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Starting in the city of Tshwane, we've got an accident reported on the N1 North near the Flying Saucer interchange, delays from Botha Avenue. There's also queuing traffic in Irene along Nell Napier's Drive approaching Main Road due to faulty traffic lights. While travelling in Bedfordview, we've got roadworks taking place right at the Hilulis interchange, delays as we come out of the Geldenes interchange. There's also queuing traffic heading towards Amalgam along the M2 West. This is between the Crown interchange and Main Riff Road. Otherwise, in Sophia Town, the main road remains closed after traffic. This is between Eric Place and Perth Road. Please try to avoid this area as much as you can. There's protest activities within this area, so please be on the lookout and try to avoid. I'm Amo Ramela, otherwise Karabu Jale will have your next traffic update from the top of the hour onwards. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Sharing Space
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
7:02.
25 minutes before 12 o'clock, time for the Sharing Space. This is where we share our stories about things that have happened, whether at work, at school, on your holiday, wherever. You just share it with us here on the Clement Manyathela Show. If you need some advice, you can also ask for that. So let's listen to a voice note that we are playing today on our Sharing Space. And then I would like to know at the end of this voice note, I'd like you to call us or send us a WhatsApp voice note and tell us if you have experienced something similar, or if the listener is asking for advice, what advice are you giving them?
Hi, Clement and your listeners. I'm a 31-year-old woman who happens to be the last born at home. My father passed away when I was in my early 20s. My 3 siblings had all moved out of home by the time my dad passed on. So it's been me and my mom for several years now. I am now in a very serious relationship, and as a grown woman, I needed my own space. My mom often has her grandkids visiting her, and I felt like I needed to move out so that I'm not inconvenienced when they are around. But now my mom is angry at me for moving out. She basically says that I've technically left her alone in her old age. She is 65 years old. I didn't move too far because I wanted to be close to her as possible. This is also not good enough for her, as she says there is no valid reason for me to leave her. I feel guilty for moving out, but I believe my reasons are valid even though her grandkids don't live with her. They are there every weekend, and I really wanted to have the option to not be around kids if I don't want to. I also just wanted my own space. Am I wrong? Please ask your listeners who moved out home last if they had the same experience.
Okay, thank you so much for the WhatsApp and the story. So she's 31. She has lost her dad. She's got siblings. The siblings have moved out. She's the last born, so she was the last one to move out of home, but she has stayed with her mom throughout. Mom is 65 now. And mom doesn't want her to move out. She's moved out, but mom doesn't seem to be happy about that, because she says, why would you leave me alone as a 65-year-old, even though she's got grandkids that come to visit her every weekend? And this 31-year-old, Anonymous, doesn't even live far from her mom's house. So, do you think the mom is being unfair here? Because I really think she is. I do think that at 65, that's not a bad, that's not an age where you are frail and, you are struggling to walk and you need consistent 24/7, care as a 65-year-old. And the fact that this 31-year-old daughter has moved not too far from mom's house, I mean, that helps, doesn't it? Have you been in a situation like that where your mom, or maybe it was your dad, didn't want you to move out because they just felt like, no, you can't leave me alone here? But also, you're a 31-year-old. You need your own space. When you are in a serious relationship and you want to move in with your partner, what happens when you get married? Yeah, I just think the 65-year-old mother is being a little unfair on her daughter. What do you think? 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. What advice do you have for this daughter? My advice would be, I don't think you should move back home. Your mom must be strong. Just explain that you need your own space. You're in a serious relationship. She must understand, especially if she is able to take care of herself. Right? If mom was frail or was sick, and had a very severe condition, I would get that. But in an instance where 65, I'm sure she'll be fine. What do you think? It's 22 before 12.
Swing into spring with Hollywood Bet Spinner Zonke, where a sea of floral fun, epic adventures, and blooming beautiful games await. Reap red-hot riches and whimsical wins with our sparkling spring-themed slots. The season's luck is in full bloom, so dive in and grab your chance to unravel an endless supply of thrilling treasures and claim sensational rewards when you bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Business insurance with a fixed access means no nasty surprises if you claim. Without insurance, business, when you claim, your access is actually a fixed amount, not a percentage of the claim. So for medical specialities like dental, physiotherapy, surgical, and other industries, our insurance business are trusted experts in business insurance. Get a quote today. It's easy. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed, insured, and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Let me get this right, Ron. You're a plumber by day and Pretoria's smoothest wedding DJ by night.
Yeah, it started out as a passion and now I've got bookings until December. And a smoke machine that needs its own seatbelt.
And you sold your car to buy a van through We Buy Cars.
Brew, it was music to my ears. Zero admin, no long queues. They pulled in, checked it out, and before I knew it, I had cash in the bank.
Now that's a banger. We Buy Cars. Geared for your passion, geared for you.
702 and corporates that care with Ekwele are talking about Ekwele's commitment to uplifting communities across South Africa.
From Ekwele's side, we get a lot of requests for water. I think that access to clean drinking and safe water has become a daily challenge for many people. So we get a lot of requests. We really deliver hundreds and thousands of bottles every year. Recently, we saw a need for a more longer-term solution, more sustainable water solutions. When we turned 25, we delivered 25 water tanks to 25 communities all over South Africa. And it was really heartwarming to see what a difference a tank can make. The first tank we put up was at a school in Groudeville and KwaZulu-Natal, and the principal told us now they don't need to close their school anymore because sometimes they had to close school early because they didn't have water.
Ekwele, making a positive impact one drop at a time. Learn more at ekwele.co.za. 702, let's walk the talk. The Sharing Space
on the Clement Manyathela Show.
702.
19 minutes before 12 o'clock. Let's go straight to your calls. Yvonne, let's start with you in Pakmore. Good morning.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
Good. Yvonne, go ahead.
Clement, I don't think she must go back home. It's our culture. It's a culture thing. And you know what is so sad? We raise our kids to be free, to be confident, to be independent, be it boy or girl. And then we clip their wings. Then we say to them, we almost hold them to ransom. I mean, I'm 63. I pray to God I never do that to my children. But when they left home, it was so terrible. That emptiness syndrome is real. You miss your children. But that's not the whole purpose. You raise them to independent people, and they need to go out and look after themselves. And yes, and you have a better relationship. You create boundaries. And she's been such a gentle, kind person, staying close to her mother. I mean, I don't know why our culture does this to us. We almost hold our children to ransom. They must look out. We brought them up. We put them to school. Now they must pay us. And I don't think we should be doing that. And that's just my opinion. Don't do that to your children.
It's
to
unfair.
Give them grace. Yeah, it's so unfair.
Yeah, and already she's tried. She's moved somewhere close by home. Like, give her credit for that. Now for you to now be upset, as if what, your kid must live with you for the rest of her life? What happens when she gets married, she's got kids, and she wants her own space? It's quite unfair, I think. Yvonne, thank you for your call. Katie, you are in Joburg. Hi.
Hi, Clement.
Hey, Katie.
Good. Clement, I've got a similar story. Number one, I don't think 65 is old, for starters. I don't think that children owe their parents any responsibility in terms of being their companion. And this clearly sounds like a companionship issue. My sister got a similar story. My sister got divorced and was, again, empty nest syndrome, had 4 children, and she had her one son at home. And she held on to this boy for her dear life because she was terrified of being on her own. And now she has a dysfunctional who actually...
Ooh, Katie, your line is breaking there. Oh, apologies for that. Yeah, Katie's line is breaking there, and she was just telling a story about her sister. We'll try and reconnect that line and bring her back on the radio. Here's some WhatsApp voice notes that have come through.
Morning, Clement. This is Selma from Roodepoort. Her mom is just selfish, and she is blackmailing her daughter with all these, oh, now you're throwing me away sort of thing. She must do what is good for herself. She cannot throw her life away to look after her mom. Thanks for a lovely show. Bye.
Hi, Clement. I think that parent is being very unfair. Parents need to realize that having a child is actually having a person who will one day have their own life. that may not revolve around you. Because I don't think she would appreciate it if your caller started laying down rules in order for her to stay. So, yeah, it's part of being a parent is she's going to have to let go. It is unfortunate that her husband has passed away, but also like 65 is not that old.
Hi, Clement. I think mom here is indeed being a little bit unfair on the 31-year-old. She must just understand that her baby girl is growing up and want to be her own person. You know, mommy must just cut the umbilical cord. It's about time. And indeed, she's not that frail, you know, and given the fact that they don't stay far from each other, that should bring in some sort of what's the word, consolation, you know, to the mom that at least that my daughter is not far away. But going back home, no, sis, don't go back home. Stand your ground and tell mommy that this is you wanting to start life away from being under her wing, you know, and she must just set you free. No hate there. She'll always be mommy and we'll always love her. Thank you for the great show, Namcebweni Binoni.
Yeah, stay with your mans, Anonymous. Stay with your mans. Someone on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, I think the mother simply does not want her daughter to cohabit. It's better if she was married. Well, the daughter is in a serious relationship, right? Whether or not she's living with someone is not even much of a factor. The reality is she just wants her own space. Whether she wants to bring in the partner or not, that's not the issue the mom is raising. And if mom has an issue with that, then let her say that, hey, are you moving in with the boyfriend? I'm worried about that. And then they can take it from there, right? But mom must also know your daughter is an adult. And I can only imagine how difficult it is for parents, because I suppose that will be difficult for me too. Because you've spent your whole life and your child's life raising them and taking decisions for them. And there comes a time when you have to let go. And that must be so difficult, because now you have to be mature enough to allow your kids to actually also go out and make mistakes, because that's how you grow. Yes, you must advise them, try to save them to as much trouble as possible. But as a parent, you cannot always protect your children. Sometimes part of them becoming strong, part of them building their own identity is going out to the world and experiencing the world. And the world is full of pain, is full of excitement, is full of disappointments, it's full of mistakes. That's what makes you a human being. And sometimes parents think they can protect their children from the pain and disappointment. That is not possible. It just simply is not possible. So a lot of people are saying just cut the umbilical cord. Mom must be able to do that. Peter, you are in Sprayed View. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Clement, yes, Clement. It's a tough one. I think, look, I don't think the mother should have a problem to let go once all the formalities, Mr. Manyathela, has been done.
Yeah.
You see, this current practice of different cultures and that. Look, some, maybe if I can say the white folks, do not have a problem for the kid to cohabit. But now things are different. You know what I mean? I don't agree. She must go home. I mean, she's a daughter. Maybe if it was a guy, it's a different story, you know?
Okay.
There's the fact that she wants to have her own space. Clement, the bottom line, she's going to stay with the guy full time there. And the guy has not even done
But what's wrong with that? What if it's her decision? What if she doesn't actually want to get married like everybody else?
Yeah, no, it's a bit of a tough one. But the fact that maybe the sisters or the siblings went out after the formalities, that was understood. But there she is, yes, the mother, she's holding on. And anyway, I wish her luck, but she really has to reconsider whatever. Yeah.
Okay, Peter, thank you for that. Peter says, go back home, Mama. I just think that our mothers sometimes, or even fathers, struggle with letting go. Like, I used to go home when I started after varsity. Well, I used to go home at the end of every month. So in varsity, you go home every 2 weeks. And then you start working, you go home every end of the month. That used to be me. I used to drive to the village every end of the month. And then there comes a time where you actually have a life. You just can't do that anymore. And my mom used to be upset that I didn't come home 1 month. I missed a month. I'm like, ma'am, I have a life. I have a life. Like, I can't come there every single end of the month. And then they start being upset at that, and then they get over it. That's what I've learned. They get over it. At some point, my mom used to be upset that when I come home, I sleep only 2 days, like 2 nights maximum, unless it's December holidays. It's Christmas time. Even there, I'll give you at least 4 days. And then she used to be upset about that. She gets over it. Like now, and I hope she's not listening, I'm about to I'm about to surprise her because I don't even want to spend Christmas at home this year. Yeah. She's probably gonna go bananas. She's probably won't even speak to me for a week. But that's me because I've got other plans. Like, I would love to go somewhere for Christmas this year. That doesn't mean I don't love her. Huh? I will try, maybe on the 16th of December, take some time off, maybe go somewhere away with her. That's me trying to make up for the Christmas. But who says every single year I must be home for Christmas? I've got a life. Like, I want to be somewhere. But mothers don't want to let go. Like, for them, you must be here on Christmas Day. What if I don't want to? What if I really want to be somewhere else, lemotwaka, or with my friends, or with other people? I just think we must learn to understand that when we grow, mothers, we love you guys, but understand that we've got our own lives. And it's not that when we want to go spend New Year's somewhere or Christmas, it means we don't love you anymore. We do, but we're just trying to build our own lives. Is that too much to ask for? Bongi, you're calling us from Olivenhotbosch. What? Olivenhotbosch. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Niza.
Hey, Tara.
Let her go away and never go back again. I promise you, I'm talking from experience. Now my mother is alive. I don't go see her anymore. She would even take it a step further and tell you and create visions that she saw the ancestors threatening me because I don't want to be with her. I don't want to be the one to stay with her. When the relatives come, when the visitors come, when the grandkids of your sisters and brothers come, you're the one that absorbs all the costs. And when she passes on, they're going to chuck her away. She's going to be on the streets. They'll forget that she's been taking care of their mother as well.
So why have you not, so you don't go see her anymore, Bongi?
I don't. She's done a lot, Wood.
Oh, you guys don't get along.
I've been to mental hospitals.
Oh.
I've been everywhere. I even attempted suicide.
Oh, I'm sorry to
She
hear that.
took it a step further. She even allowed, yes, Baba, no, it's wrong. She let her go away. Let her disappear for 6 months without, she's going to be happy to.
Okay.
And she must only go visit her just for 5 minutes and she's going.
5 minutes, okay, Bongi. Yeah. I mean, obviously the situations are different here, right? Bongi, you don't have a good relationship with mom, and I'm sorry to hear about what's happened to a point that you've even attempted to take your own life. In this case, Anonymous, has a good relationship with mom, loves her mother loves her. It's good. The only thing they differ on is she's 31. She's met the love of her life. She wants to move out of the home. Mom is 65, strong enough to look after herself. But mom is like, no, how dare you just abandon me like that? So it's not because there are tensions here, right? It's just that, yeah, the circumstances just are pushing this 31-year-old to go live her life.
Short Clement, that mom has a loving and caring daughter. She doesn't stay far off her. This is a grown-up. She needs privacy. She is in a serious relationship. So that mom is so unfair. Her daughter does not say that her mom is a sickly person. That mom is so fortunate to have such a caring daughter who sees her. Now that she does not stay far off her, it means that she sees her every now and then. That mom is unfair. She should be grateful to her daughter. Good. Morning, Dr. Brother. How's it from Brunfish?
Good morning, Clement, and your listeners. It's Eugene from Baklu here. Clement, I just believe that the listener's mom, she's just gaslighting her. Yeah, so, yep, she needs the independence. She needs to be responsible for herself. Then when it comes to the mom, they can, as siblings and everyone else, pitch in, so that at least they can help in the care for the mother. But yeah, the mother needs to, admit, or she needs to relinquish the power that she thinks maybe she has over the last born, so that at least she can enjoy her independence. She can't guilty trip her like that.
Yeah, some messages. Mom Lizzie says, Clement, this is Mama Liz. I heard your story. And listen, as moms, we just love you guys too much and we don't want to let go, but we are just harmless. We mean no harm at all. Just love and more love. I hear you, Mom Lizzie. I hear you. Then allow us to move out then. We'll come check you. I mean, if I lived close enough to my parents, I would probably go check them. The week would not pass without me going to check them out. And then Ntorozo in KZN says, hi, Clement. You're so brave, man. Not spending Christmas at home. My mother would disown me and tell all of our family that ngimlahlile. Exactly. Listen, that's what I'm anticipating. I still don't know how I'm going to do it, honestly. I don't know. I've been thinking, should I buy her a gift? Should I give her something she really has always wanted? And then as she's enjoying that, and I go, break the news. Hey, please note, I'm not going to be here for Christmas. Yeah, but it's quite wild, eh? The way parents respond. They respond as if you're a 2-year-old, I tell you. That time, you're an old man. At 35, I must ask for permission. Yo, mothers.
Hi, good morning, Clement. Maybe meet the mother halfway. Buy a property that has a garden cottage and let the mother come stay with her, and then I guess they both will be happy. Why have 2 utility bills when they can only have one? And I'm sure the mother will also contribute to the expenses of the house, and then it's a win-win.
Hey guys, I understand where the lady's coming from, and but what happens when the mother starts a relationship and she wants the partner to move in? Does she tell the daughter to move out? The tables can be turned. No, the daughter must go by herself and the mother must live by herself. Have a good day. Bye.
It's that time of the year. Sneezing, itchy, watery eyes, blocked noses and coughs. It's time to live, work, play and sleep allergy-free. For trusted relief for you and your family this allergy season, ask your pharmacist for the Adcock Ingram OTC Allergy Survival Pack. With products like Allergex Non-Drowsy, Cetisid, Levogex and more, we have you covered. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC. And visit beprepared365.co.za.
The South African Future Trust Summit's Premium Entrepreneurial Showcase returns to the Sandton Convention Centre on the 5th and 6th of November, bringing together entrepreneurs with bold ideas and big ambition. Come and witness the big pitch, where our 10 finalists will compete for the coveted $1 million business investment. Join masterclasses with industry experts who will share valuable knowledge on relevant topics and seize the opportunity to pitch your business ideas to leading investors. Don't miss out. Limited seats are available. Book yours now at summit.southafricanfuturetrust.org in partnership with 702.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Mandy Wiener, good morning.
Good morning, Clement Manyathela.
Are you well?
Very well, thank you.
What's happening today on the Midday Report?
There are protests in various parts of Joburg, so we'll bring you the latest on all of those. We'll also speak to Kgamoto Modise. She was at that hostage drama until the early hours of this morning, unfortunately, that sadly turned into a murder-suicide. I have done an interview with the Deputy Minister of Justice on safety and security at courts, and a very prescient warning about judges' safety and journalists' safety as well. 7 human traffickers have been sentenced in court today, and the inaugural Tshwane Investment Summit is underway today.
All right, that's the midday report. Up next with Mandy Wiener. Thank you for listening to the Wednesday edition of the show. We'll be back tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Stay listening to 702. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. Let's begin in the courts where the 7 Chinese nationals convicted on 160 charges, including human trafficking, have each been sentenced to 20 years in prison. They were arrested for kidnapping and forcing 91 Malawians to work in a Johannesburg factory in 2019. 37 of the people found during the Hawks-led operation were children. The court has also ordered their company to pay a fine of 300,000 rand. Judgment was handed down in the South Gauteng High Court a short while ago, where chaos erupted shortly after. Mongezi Koko has more.
It was after sentencing that the drama unfolded. The daughter of accused number 6, Nancy Shao, confronted reporters claiming her mother and her co-accused were being framed. She alleged a powerful kingpin is the real brain behind the kidnapping syndicate that smuggles illegal foreigners into the country.
The real owner is right here in this country. I tell you, that big boss, he has a Dong-related background in this Chinese community in this country. He's leading in this country in this town. In Burma.
Police attempted to block her from speaking to journalists, but she pushed through, saying the real traffickers are still at large and that her family has been made a scapegoat. Delivering his ruling earlier, Judge David Mango said the state presented overwhelming evidence. For now, the 7 remain in custody, each facing 2 decades behind bars. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
Police have fired rubber bullets at residents in Westbury who have been protesting over prolonged water shortages. The area and nearby communities, including Westdean and Clement, have had to contend with dry taps in the recent weeks. A 68-year-old man is one of the people who sustained injuries after being shot on his back. James Johnson says he was targeted and shot unprovoked.
We protest peacefully, and all of a sudden, these police, the cops, they surround us and just shot at us. They start shooting at us, and with no reason. They didn't explain us what is it.
There was no stones thrown, nothing. It was very peaceful.
Very peaceful.
At the same time, parts of the East Rand have also been rocked by service delivery protests, including in Tsakane today. Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department spokesperson Joy Mdluli says officers are monitoring the situation.
Currently, EMPD, FRU and Tsakane precinct officers are on the scene monitoring the situation and have cleared the rubble from the roadway. The traffic is now flowing freely. Protesters are currently waiting to be addressed by the ward councillor.
We'll shift our focus to this now. International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola says his department is committed to seeing South Africa's case against Israel at the International Court of Justice through to its conclusion. Lamola is briefing Parliament today on South Africa's case to find Israel guilty. South Africa has already submitted its main arguments to the ICJ, alleging Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. Several other countries, including Brazil, Spain, Turkey and the Republic of Ireland, have asked to intervene in this case. Lamola says the case could have a potential outcome which will resonate beyond Israel and Palestine. The minister says the case has a direct impact on how international law and international humanitarian law is applied.
South Africa will continue to act within its institutions of global governance to protect the rights, including the fundamental rights to life, of Palestinians in Gaza and of all people in conflict areas.
To this now, Western Cape Police Commissioner Thembisile Phathekile says a search for wanted suspects linked to gang-related shootings in the Muizenberg area have now intensified. Residents have been experiencing a sharp increase in gun violence. Multiple people have been killed in separate shootings, and police say more boots have been deployed to the ground. Phathekile explains some of the measures they've put in place to combat the violence.
We're locking down the areas. We're doing coordinate searches and VCPs and looking for the wanted suspects in those areas and visiting parolees where we can find them.
Phathekile says at least 80 firearms have been confiscated in the past week and more are being sought.
What we found in the Cape Flats, there's quite a number of guns, the deceased estate firearms that are lying somewhere. People died long time ago, they never applied for licenses, and we're visiting those houses because we believe that those firearms may have been used, some of them, in this commission of the crime.
And South Korea has sent a plane to fetch hundreds of workers from the United States who were detained in an immigration raid. More than 400 people were arrested at a battery plant under construction in Georgia last week. The U.S. released a video showing some being shackled with chains around their hands, ankles and waists. South Korea's government later said it reached an agreement with the country for the release of the workers. Gold is trading at $3,647.86 an ounce. The rand is at 17.56 to the dollar, 23.77 to the pound, 20.56 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $66.97 a barrel.
In Khayelitsha, Cape Town, Swartklip Road remains closed off to traffic between Baden Powell and Steve Biko. This is due to ongoing protests in the area. Also, bumper traffic on the N1 inbound approaching Wade Bridge. And also look out for those roadworks slowing down traffic. N2 outgoing approaching Macassar Road.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 27 and 28 degrees, while Cape Town is cloudy today with variable winds at a high of 21. The top story in EWN this hour. The 7 Chinese nationals convicted on 160 charges, including human trafficking, have each been sentenced to 20 years in prison.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. Coming up on the show today, protests in various parts of Joburg. We'll bring you the latest. We'll speak to our reporter about the hostage drama that turned to a murder-suicide in the early hours of this morning. The Deputy Minister of Justice on safety at the courts. 7 human traffickers have been sentenced, and the inaugural Tshwane Investment Summit is underway. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Good to be with you today. Quite a few different protests taking place across Gauteng. Earlier today, we saw disruptions in Tsakani and Flaxfontein on the East Rand, people protesting there over the lack of service delivery, so impacting on traffic as well. Also, Ebony Park in Tembisa, protests over persistent water cuts in the area. And in Westbury, residents blocking roads with rubble and rocks protesting over the lack of water. So let's start in Westbury. Jabulile Mbata, EWN reporter, is there for us. Jabulile, good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time. I'm watching the visuals on some of the TV networks. I see on the SABC quite a bit of disruption, rubble, tires being burnt, rubber bullets being fired. What's the situation there at the moment?
Good afternoon, Mandy. So I'm currently driving with a colleague right now, trying to move around because earlier on where I was stationed, the community members have moved because they want to mobilize, they want to create a bigger group. And you'll understand there's heavy road closures. They've, are burning tires and they've put rocks on the road. So now they have said that they want more people to come out of their houses and join the rest of the group, because they are trying to emphasize how seriously they are affected by these water outages. Some of them are even saying, this is not a new issue. They've been facing these challenges even for years. But earlier on, as you said, you saw on TV, there was police who were even shooting rubber bullets at the protest because it has gone quite violent. But I'd like to take a listen to one of the residents who was complaining about the police earlier.
We protest peacefully, and all of a sudden, these police, the cops, they surround us and just shoot us. They start shooting at us, and with no reason. They didn't explain us what is it.
There was no stones thrown.
Nothing.
It was very peaceful.
Very peaceful, and we did confront them, and we did just say it's a peaceful protest. We did tell them the captain of the room, but all of a sudden they talk in their language. We didn't know about this language, and we just see we surrounded by these cops, and